Welcome back to the archives. Tonight, we turn our attention to a singular, biological anomaly recorded on the fringes of the Eye of Terror, a story of symbiosis in a galaxy that demands purity. You are standing in the Scriptorum's observation deck, looking out into the holographic projection of a world made of iron and fire. The air here smells of ozone, consecrated oil, and the faint, dusty scent of decay that clings to every record in the Imperium. The hum of the ventilation fans is a low, rhythmic thrum, steady as the heartbeat of a sleeping titan, grounding you in the safety of the present while we gaze into the horrors of the past. It is a somber place, a mausoleum not for the dead, but for the events that shape their ends. In this galaxy, survival is not a right. It is a privilege bought with the blood of billions. Peace is a lie told to the naive. War is the state of nature, and the only currency that holds value is the strength to endure one more day. Before we unseal these forbidden records, please take a moment to subscribe and like the transmission. It helps the machine spirit of the algorithm find more loyal citizens. Don't forget to log your sector and planetary time in the Vox channels below, that we may know where the Emperor's light finds you. Now, dim your lumens, let the hum of your cogitators soothe you, and let us descend into the lore together. You find yourself floating in the high void, drifting silently above the segmentum obscurus. Below you rotates the rusted, blackened sphere of Agripinaa. This is a Forge World of the Adeptus Mechanicus, a planet-sized factory dedicated to the production of war. From this height, the planet does not look like a cradle of life. It looks like a wound in the void. Its surface is a patchwork of sprawling manufactoriums, venting towers that pierce the stratosphere, and oceans of toxic sludge that glow with a radioactive luminescence. Hard lore. Agripinaa is the principal forge world of the Cadian sector. Since M31, following the Horus heresy, it has stood as a bulwark against the forces of chaos, spewing forth from the Eye of Terror. Its tithe to the Imperium is immense, supplying millions of lasguns, lemon rust battle tanks, and the cybernetic soldiers of the Skittery, legions to the front lines of the Cadian Gate. It is a world where flesh is viewed as a weakness to be replaced, and the machine is the only true ideal. You watch the horizon of the planet. It is framed by the bruised purple nebula of the Eye of Terror, a constant malevolent eye watching the industrious ants below. But tonight, your focus is not on the warp. It is on the physical void. A small object streaks into view. It is not a ship. It is not an Orc-Rock or an Eldar stealth craft. It is a meteorite, jagged and unassuming, tumbling through the vacuum. It catches the pale light of the local star, glinting with an obsidian sheen that seems to absorb more light than it reflects. To the orbital auspex arrays of the Mechanicus defense grid, it registers as nothing more than space debris, a fragment of a destroyed hulk or a piece of cometary refuse. The logic engines dismiss it. They calculate its trajectory, determine it poses no threat to the orbital shipyards, and delete the file. This is the first mistake. You follow the stone as it hits the upper atmosphere. The silence of the void is replaced by the roar of friction. The air around the meteor turns into a plasma sheath, burning white-hot as the rock plummets toward the surface. Technical detail. The atmospheric entry of a standard bolide generates temperatures exceeding 3,000 degrees Celsius. At this heat, standard biological matter is vaporized instantly. Even Tyranid spores, encased in mycetic chitin, often struggle to survive without ablative shielding. However, the substance clinging to the core of this rock is different. It is a non-Newtonian fluid, a black sludge that reacts to the thermal stress not by burning, but by hardening. It forms a crystalline lattice on the molecular level, creating a temporary heat shield that is harder than ceramite, yet fluid enough to redistribute the kinetic energy. It sweats, boiling off its outer layers to protect the nucleus. It is suffering, but it is surviving. the meteor screams down through the cloud layers, punching a hole through the smog that blankets the Forge world. It bypasses the towering spires of the Magos biologists. It misses the grand processionals where tech priests chant binary prayers to the Omnissiah. It is destined for the lower levels, the rust wastes where the industrial runoff pools and the forgotten machinery of millennia past goes to die. Impact. The collision is not earth-shattering, but it is violent. The rock slams into a heap of discarded scrap metal in Sector 7G, a designated waste reclamation zone. A plume of rust and ash is thrown into the air, settling slowly in the stagnant breeze. The noise echoes off the canyon walls of the surrounding hive factories, a sharp crack followed by the groan of settling debris. Then, silence returns. The relentless industrial clamor of Agripinaa, the pounding of pistons, the hiss of steam, the distant grinding of gears swallows the event. To the planet, this was nothing. A pebble hitting a tank, you drift closer to the crater. The heat of the impact is radiating off the slag, shimmering in the gloom. The center of the meteor has cracked open like a geode. Something spills. Out. It is black. Vantablack. It pours over the heated rock like oil, yet it moves with a purpose that defies gravity. It does not pool. It reaches. Tendrils of the substance extend, tasting the air, sensing the vibrations of the world it has landed on. It is a Symbiote clinter, though that name has no meaning here. In this universe, it is an anomaly. It recoils from the heat of the crater. Fire is its enemy. Sound is its enemy. And Agripinaa is a world of fire and noise. The creature is in agony. It is disoriented, severed from the hive mind of its own kind, stranded in a reality that feels wrong. The psychic resonance of the 41st millennium is loud, a screaming cacophony of souls in torment that grates against its senses. Scholarly ambiguity, imperial xenobiologists. In later, fragmentary reports would debate the nature of this entity's arrival. Some radical inquisitors of the Ordo Xenos speculate that it slipped through a momentary tear in the webway, a flotsam from a dimension entirely separate from our own. Others, more puritanical, insist it must be a new, insidious bioweapon of the Tyranids, a Imgarl variant designed for infiltration. But you, watching from the safety of the archive, know the truth is stranger. It is a refugee. The symbiote slithers away from the burning rock. It moves across the jagged scrap metal, its amorphous body flowing over razor-sharp edges without being cut. It seeks shelter. It seeks shade. But most of all, it seeks a host. It is weak. Without a biological partner, it is burning calories at an accelerated rate, just to maintain its cohesion in this hostile gravity. It senses the life signs of the planet, but they are distant and strange. The dominant life forms here are cold, their biology replaced by steel and circuitry. The symbiote tastes the air and finds it lacking in pheromones. It smells ozone, promethium, and the metallic tang of dried blood. You watch as it pours itself into a rusted ventilation grate. It drips down into the under-infrastructure of the sector. Here, the air is cooler, though thick with chemical fumes. The darkness is absolute, but the symbiote does not need light to see. It senses the thermal gradients of the pipes. It senses the vibrations of footsteps far, far below. It begins to hunt. It flows along the ceiling of a maintenance tunnel, a patch of living shadow indistinguishable from the grime of the forge. It is terrified, alone, and starving. And on a world like Agripinaa, where everything is a resource to be processed, a starving thing is a dangerous thing. The meteor cools in the waste pile above, a hollow shell now devoid of life. The planet continues to turn. The forges continue to burn. The tech priests continue their prayers, unaware that a new variable has been introduced to their perfect equation. A variable that is organic, chaotic, and desperate to survive. The symbiote descends further, leaving the sky behind. Heading toward the warmth of the biological slums that fester beneath the feet of the machine gods. It is going to the Sump. You descend deeper. The rigid, cold geometry of the upper forge layers gives way to the chaotic, organic sprawl of the underbelly. You are now in the Sump, the bowel of the city-state, where the waste of the manufactoriums drains, and where the people who are cheaper than machines are left to rot. The air here is heavy, a physical weight pressing against your lungs, saturated with heavy metals and the humidity of a billion breathing souls. It is a place of shadows and dripping pipes, illuminated only by the flickering yellow light of dying lumen strips and the radioactive glow of toxic runoff. Here, you find the prey. His name is Kale. He is not a soldier. He is not a priest. He is a shifting unit menial, a cog in the great machine of Agripinaa, whose only purpose is to shovel slag from Converter Belt 9 until his body fails. And it is failing. You watch him huddled in the corner of a rusted habitation pod, a metal box barely large enough for a grown man to lie down in. He is coughing a wet, hacking sound that rattles his thin rib cage. Technical detail: Kale is suffering from forged lung, a common affliction among the lower caste of Forge Worlds. It is caused by the inhalation of microparticulates of vaporized lead and promethium soot. The alveoli of his lungs are coated in a layer of black resin, reducing his oxygen intake by 40%. His body is starving for air even as he breathes. His fingernails are blue, his skin pallid and gray, covered in the sores of malnutrition. In the eyes of the Magos biologists, he is a unit operating at 30% efficiency, slated for recycling into corpse starch within the next fiscal quarter. Kale wraps his tattered robe tighter around himself. It offers no warmth. He is hiding. Earlier this cycle, he failed to meet his quota. The skittery overseers, the clockwork soldiers with radium carbines, do not tolerate inefficiency. He knows they are looking for him. He knows that if he is found, he will not be killed. He will be repurposed. He will be lobotomized, stripped of his personality, and hardwired into a heavy-lifting servitor chassis. It is a fate the citizens of the Imperium fear more than death. Above him, clinging to the rusted ceiling pipes, the black ooze watches. The Symbiote has traversed the ventilation network, drawn by the heat signature of the biological masses down here. It is weak. The journey through the vacuum and the crash landing has depleted its biomass reserves. It is a puddle of shivering, sentient fluid, barely holding its cohesion. It needs a host. It needs a biological framework to stabilize its own chemistry. It looks at Kale. It does not see a broken man. It sees a compatible genetic structure. It sees a nervous system that is desperate, fearful, and empty. A perfect vessel. The symbiote drops. It lands on Kale's shoulder with a wet splat, like a glob of heavy grease. Kale flinches, slapping at his shoulder, thinking it is a leak from the waste pipes above. His hand touches the substance. It does not wipe away. You watch as the black fluid reacts to the contact. It moves with sudden, terrifying speed. It lashes out, wrapping around Kale's hand, shooting tendrils up his wrist, diving into the pores of his skin. Kale gasps, trying to shake it off, but it is not on him. It is going in him. He opens his mouth to scream, but the substance flows over his face, silencing him. It pushes into his nose, his mouth, his ears. It feels cold, like ice water flowing through his veins, followed instantly by a burning heat. Kale falls to the grated floor, thrashing. To an outside observer, it looks like a seizure. But you, with your view into the microscopic, see the miracle occurring beneath the skin. The symbiote is not attacking him. It is integrating. It finds the damaged lungs. It senses the resin coating the alveoli and dissolves it, consuming the pollutants as raw material. It knits the scarred tissue back together. It floods his bloodstream, hunting down the pathogens of the Sump and devouring them. It reinforces the brittle bones with its own crystalline structure. It wraps around his atrophied muscles, tightening them, infusing them with a tensile strength that biological fiber alone cannot achieve. Hard lore. The Adeptus Mechanicus teaches that the flesh is weak. They believe the only way to improve the human form is to cut it away and replace it with steel. They are wrong. This alien organism proves that flesh can be made strong. It is a biological heresy, a perfect symbiosis that defies the Omnissiah's logic. In the span of minutes, it does what years of augmetic surgery could not. It fixes him. The thrashing stops. Kale lies on the floor, breathing. For the first time in 20 years, he takes a deep breath, and it does not hurt. The air floods his repaired lungs, oxygenating his blood, sharpening his mind. He opens his eyes. The iris is no longer the muddy brown of a malnourished worker. It is a deep, milky white, swimming with black flecks. The shadows in the corner of the hab pod seem to retreat. He can hear the heartbeat of a rat scurrying in the wall 3 meters away. He can smell the fear pheromones of the neighbor in the next pod. Hungry, Kale whispers, but it is not his voice alone. It is a dual-layered resonance, a human rasp overlaid with a guttural liquid growl. We are hungry. Kale scrambles to his feet. He looks at his hands. They are trembling, not with weakness, but with an overflow of energy. He feels the creature inside him, curled around his spine, whispering to his adrenal glands. He does not feel violated. He feels complete, for a man who has spent his life as a disposable component. The sensation of being valued, even by a parasite, is intoxicating. He looks at the nutrient paste sitting on his small metal table, a gray slab of recycled protein. He grabs it and devours it in one bite. It is ash in his mouth. It is not enough. The symbiote demands more. It demands complex proteins. It demands phenethylamine to regulate its synaptic functions. Scholarly ambiguity. There is a debate among the xenologists of the Ordo Xenos regarding the voice of a symbiote. Is it a separate consciousness communicating telepathically? Or is it the host's own subconscious, unshackled and amplified by the alien's aggression? Kale does not hear an alien commander giving orders. He hears his own darkest desires, his hunger, his resentment, his rage spoken back to him with absolute clarity. The symbiote does not make him a monster. It allows him to be one. Suddenly, the door to his hab pod hisses open. Kale freezes. Standing in the doorway is a skittery ranger. The soldier is a fusion of man and machine, his legs replaced by metal struts, his face hidden behind a rebreather mask and a brass hood. He holds a galvanic rifle, the weapon humming with stored potential. Unit 734, the skittery intones, his voice a harsh, static-filled blurt of binary cant. Work cycle truancy detected. You are to be remanded for servitor conversion. The old Kale would have fallen to his knees and begged. The old Kale would have wept, but Kale is gone. There's only we. The symbiote floods Kale's system with adrenaline. The fear evaporates, replaced by a cold, predatory amusement. No, Kale says. The skittery pauses. A menial refusing an order is a logic error. It processes the data for a microsecond. Compliance is mandatory. The ranger raises the rifle but to strike. A blow meant to shatter a collarbone and force submission. Kale moves. He does not move like a man. He moves like oil. He ducks under the strike with a fluidity that snaps the laws of anatomy. As he rises, the black substance erupts from his skin. It does not just coat him. It forms a weapon. His arm extends, the flesh morphing into a black, jagged tendril that hardens instantly into a blade of obsidian like chitin. He slashes. His strike is faster than the skittery's ocular sensors can track. The black blade shears through the ranger's reinforced flak armor, through the cabling, through the meat and bone beneath. The skittery is bisected at the waist. Oil and blood spray across the small room. The top half of the cyborg hits the floor with a clang. The galvanic rifle clatters away. Kale stands over the ruin of his oppressor. The black sludge retracts into his skin, leaving his hand clean, unmarked. He looks at the body. He smells the biological components mixed with the machine oil dot. The hunger flares again. It is a sharp, demanding pain in the center of his skull. The symbiote guides his gaze to the biological remnants of the skittery, specifically the brain case that has not yet been fully replaced by cogitators. "Waste not," the voice whispers. You watch as the dreg of the Sump kneels. In the darkness of the 41st millennium, survival often requires acts that would make even the cruelest tyrant look away. Kale begins to feed. And in the feeding, the bond is sealed. The Sump dweller is dead. The lethal protector has been born in the filth of Agripinaa. You follow the hunter. The Sump dweller known as Kale is no longer huddling in the dark. He is moving through it with the confidence of an apex predator. The symbiote has stabilized his physiology, metabolizing the gruesome meal of the scuttery to fuel its rapid evolution. The black ooze has receded beneath his skin, invisible to the naked eye, but you can see the change in his posture. He walks taller. His muscles, once atrophied from malnutrition, are now corded with alien strength. He moves through the labyrinthine pipeworks of the lower hive not as a victim, but as a shadow. He has a new destination. The hunger has been sated for the moment, replaced by a new impulse: justice. Or at least, the symbiote's twisted, primal interpretation of it. You are watching Hab Block, Delta 9. It is a vertical slum. A towering stack of metal containers welded together, housing 10,000 souls. It is nominally under the jurisdiction of the Adeptus Arbites, the iron-fisted judges of the Imperium. But down here, the law of the Emperor is a distant rumor. The real law is dictated by the Rust Jackals, a gang of chem-addicted stimheads who extort the locals for water credits. Tonight, the Rust Jackals are holding court. In the central plaza of the Hab Block. A wide grate overlooking a pool of toxic sludge, the gang has gathered. They are ugly things, their bodies swollen with cheap muscle grafts and scarred by ritual branding. Their leader, a brute named Grotus, is holding a woman by her hair. She is a manufacturing worker who couldn't pay the protection tithe. No credits, no water. Grotus laughs, his voice amplified by a crude voxcaster sewn into his throat. He dangles her over the edge of the railing. Below, the chemical soup bubbles menacingly. The crowd of locals watches in silence. They are too beaten, too starved to intervene. They have seen this 100 times. Hope is a heresy down here. But tonight, the shadows are watching back. You see Kale perched on a gargoyle overlooking the plaza. He is 40 meters up. The drop would shatter the legs of a space marine in scout armor. They are poison, the symbiote hisses in his mind. Parasites feeding on the weak. We hate parasites. Kale grins. It is a rictus of sharp, white teeth. Then let's clean the house. He leaps, he does not fall. He dives. As he descends, the black fluid erupts from his pores. It does not form a suit this time. It forms a web. Tendrils of black slime shoot out, attaching to the rusted gantries and support beams. He swings, the momentum turning him into a wrecking ball. He crashes into the center of the plaza. The impact buckles the metal grating. The shockwave knocks the gangers off their feet. Grotus drops the woman, stumbling back in confusion. When the dust clears, Kale is gone. In his place stands a monster. Technical detail. The symbiote has fully manifested. It stands 7 feet tall, a hulking mass of vantablack muscle and sinew. Its eyes are large, jagged patches of white bioluminescence, devoid of pupils. Its mouth is a cavern of serrated fangs, drooling a thick green saliva that hisses when it hits the metal floor. The Clinter biology has adapted to the threats of the 41st millennium. Its hide is not just skin, but a hardened carapace capable of deflecting small arms fire. It looks like a demon, but it carries no scent of the warp. It smells of ozone and wet asphalt. "Evening, gentlemen," the monster speaks. The voice is a bass rumble that vibrates in the chest cavities of everyone present. "We are the neighborhood watch." The gangers stare. They have seen mutants. They have seen abhumans. But they have never seen this. "Kill it." Grotus screams, drawing a heavy stubber. The gang opens fire. Bullets, solid slugs the size of fingers, hammer into the black beast. You watch the impacts. The bullets hit the black hide and stop. The symbiote's flesh acts like a non-Newtonian fluid, absorbing the kinetic energy and redistributing it. The slugs flatten and fall to the ground like rain. The monster doesn't even flinch. It laughs a wet, gurgling sound. Bullets tickle. The slaughter begins. The symbiote lunges. It moves faster than a genestealer. It grabs a ganger with a massive hand and throws him. The man flies across the plaza, hitting a wall with enough force to liquefy his organs. Another ganger attacks with a chainsword. The roaring blade bites into the black shoulder and gets stuck. The symbiote's flesh grabs the teeth of the chainsword, jamming the motor. The monster backhands the attacker, sending him tumbling over the railing into the toxic sludge below. Grotus, realizing his stubber is useless, grabs a flamer. "Burn, you freak!" He pulls the trigger. A jet of liquid promethium sprays toward the beast. Fire, the ancient weakness. The symbiote screeches. It is a sound of pure, unbridled pain. The fire clings to its left arm, burning away the black mass, exposing the raw red human flesh beneath. Kale screams inside the suit. The symbiote recoils, its form destabilizing, rippling like boiling tar. "Fire!" "D-a-D," the gangers cheer, thinking they have found the weakness. They advance. But they underestimate the bond. Kale is not just a passenger. He is a survivor of the Forge. He knows fire. He works next to blast furnaces every day. "Use the environment." Kale shouts mentally. The symbiote listens. It retracts the burning arm, severing the biomass to stop the spread. It shoots a tendril upward, grabbing a heavy water pipe running along the ceiling. With a heave of superhuman strength, it rips the pipe free. High-pressure industrial coolant sprays out. The icy fog fills the plaza, extinguishing the promethium fire instantly. The sudden temperature drop freezes the remaining gangers in place, their breath turning to steam. The monster emerges from the mist, regenerating its arm in seconds. It is no longer playing. It is angry. It grabs Grotus by the throat. The gang leader is lifted into the air, his cybernetic eye whirring in terror. "You like to bully the weak?" The symbiote growls, its face inches from the ganger. "Let's see how you taste." The jaws open. The tongue, long and prehensile, lashes out. Scholarly ambiguity. The consumption of sentient flesh is a hallmark of chaos worship, specifically of the Kroot or devotees of Slaanesh. However, the symbiote's hunger is strictly biological. It requires phenethylamine, a chemical found in the brain, to maintain its sanity. Without it, the symbiote begins to degrade, its aggression becoming uncontrollable. In consuming the ganger, Kale believes he is enacting justice. He does not realize he is feeding an addiction that will eventually consume him. The crunch is sickening. The plaza falls silent. The remaining gangers drop their weapons and run, fleeing into the shadows of the underhive. The woman who was nearly thrown over the edge looks up at the monster. She is shaking. She expects to be next. The black beast turns to her. The monstrous face shifts. The white eyes narrow, softening. The massive clawed hand reaches out and gently helps her to her feet. "Go home," it whispers. "We are watching." Then, it shoots a web line to the ceiling and swings away into the darkness. But the event has not gone unnoticed. High above, In the precinct fortress of the Adeptus Arbites, a sensorium cogitator flags the incident. It is not the violence that triggers the alarm. Violence is common. It is the audio recording of the creature's roar, and the visual log of it regenerating from a promethium burn. The report is forwarded, not to the governor, but to the Adeptus Mechanicus. Magos biologist Varnak receives the data slate. He looks at the blurry image of the black beast. His mechadendrites twitch with excitement. He does not see a vigilante. He does not see a demon. He sees a biological anomaly that defies the laws of anatomy. He sees a specimen. Deploy the skittery, Varnak commands in binary static. I want it alive. I want to dissect it. The hunt has escalated. Kale has saved the Hab block, but he has doomed himself. The eyes of the machine god are now upon him. You are watching the hunter become the hunted. Kale, now bound inextricably to the entity calling itself Venom, retreats deeper into the bowels of Agripina's underhive. He is high on the chemical rush of the bond, the dopamine flood of justice dispensed, but he is unaware of the net closing around him. The darkness he uses as a cloak is about to be pierced by the cold, unblinking eye of the machine god. Magos biologist Varnak does not hunt with dogs. He hunts with data. You shift your view to the tactical hololith in Varnak's sanctum. It is a room of cold iron and humming servers, lit by the sickly green glow of radium carbines. Varnak stands, or rather, hovers on a suspensor platform before the display. He is more machine than man, his organic bits withered and gray, encased in robes of red velvet. His face is a mask of brass and lenses devoid of empathy. To him, the universe is a broken equation, and he is the mathematician destined to solve it. Target trajectory calculated. A servitor drones from the corner, its voice a looped recording. Sector 7G biological signature, anomalous. Varnak extends a metallic claw, tapping a rune on the console. Initiate containment protocol, Oculus. Technical detail. Protocol Oculus utilizes the servo-skull network of the Hive City. Thousands of human skulls, fitted with anti-grav engines and Auspex scanners, float through the ventilation shafts and maintenance tunnels of Agripinaa. They are the eyes of the Mechanicus. They track heat, movement, and pheromones. Kale can hide from men, but he cannot hide from the dead who still serve. Back in the tunnels, the symbiote pauses. It clings to the ceiling of a wastewater junction. We are being watched, it hisses in Kale's mind. The alien senses are tingling, a spider sense adapted to the Grimdark frequency. It feels the hum of anti-grav motors. A servo-skull drifts around the corner. Its red ocular lens focuses on the patch of shadow where Kale hides. It chitters, a sound of cogwork gears grinding. Smash it! Kale thinks. A black tendril lashes out, crushing the skull against the wall. But it is too late. The signal has been sent. Target acquired, Varnak intones. Deploy the Sicarian Rust Stalkers. You watch the deployment. It is swift and silent. From the drop ports of the upper hive, a squad of nightmares descends. The Sicarian Rust Stalkers are the elite assassins of the Skittery legions. They are not soldiers. They are murder machines. Their limbs are long, spindly hydraulic pistons. Their heads are domes of sensors. They wield transonic blades, weapons that vibrate at a frequency capable of phasing through armor and flesh alike. They do not feel fear. They do not feel pain. They only feel the urge to cut. They land in the junction. Surrounding Kale, they move with a jarring, twitchy speed, like insects in a stop-motion film. New toys, the symbiote growls, dropping from the ceiling. Let's break them. The battle is a blur of motion. Kale lunges, forming a massive axe hand. He swings at the nearest Rust Stalker. The assassin parries. The transonic blade hums, meeting the black biomass. Scholarly ambiguity. Imperial physics dictates that the vibrating blade should slice through the symbiote like a hot knife through butter. But when the weapon connects, something strange happens. The symbiote's flesh vibrates in return. It mimics the frequency. It adapts. The blade sinks a few inches, then stops, caught in a harmonic deadlock. The alien organism is learning the physics of 40,000 warfare in real time. Adapt. Overcome, the dual voice roars. Kale rips the blade from the assassin's grip and backhands the machine, sending it crashing into a steam pipe. But there are too many of them. A rust stalker flanks him, slicing across his back. Another stabs his leg. They are fast, coordinated by a localized noosphere data link. They are whittling him down. Then the trap springs. It is not a weapon that defeats him. It is sound. Varnak has studied the footage of the meteor crash. He knows the creature reacts to vibration. From the tunnel ends, heavy servitors roll into position. They are carrying torsion cannons, weapons designed to twist tank armor with gravitational waves. But they have been modified. They are set to emit a high-frequency sonic pulse. Fire, Varnak commands. The cannons unleash a wall of sound. It is a scream that tears at the fabric of reality. The effect on the symbiote is catastrophic. Nitrogen monoxide. Loud, too loud. The black suit loses cohesion. It vibrates violently, unable to hold its shape. It flows off Kale's body like water, exposing the man underneath. Kale falls to his knees, clutching his ears, blood pouring from his nose. The symbiote retreats inside him, hiding in his marrow, terrified and paralyzed. Without the armor, Kale is just a man. A rust stalker steps forward. It does not kill him. It raises a taser goad and strikes him in the neck. Kale convulses and goes limp. Specimen secured, the assassin chirps. You follow the unconscious host as he is dragged away. He is taken up the spire, past the forges, past the habitation zones, into the cold. Sterile laboratories of the Magos biologists. You stand now in the vivisection chamber. Kale is strapped to an autopsy table made of cold adamantium. He is naked, vulnerable. Clamps hold his wrists and ankles. Above him, a chaotic array of surgical instruments hangs from the ceiling. Scalpels, bone saws, monofilament drills. Varnak hovers over him. Fascinating, the Magos mutters. He scans Kale's body with a multispectral auger. The organism has integrated at a cellular level. It has repaired the subject's genetic defects. It is efficient. Efficiency is the highest praise a tech priest can give. We must extract it, Varnak decides. To study the machine, one must disassemble it. He activates a laser cutter. The beam hums to life, glowing a cruel red. He lowers it toward Kale's chest, intending to cut him open and drag the alien out of his ribcage. But the symbiote is awake. It is trapped. It is hurt, but it is listening. It feels the heat of the laser. It senses the intent of the machine man. He wants to separate us, Kale, the voice whispers in the comatose man's mind. He wants to peel us apart. We will die. Kale's eyes snap open. They are pitch black. No. The survival instinct overrides the sonic trauma. The symbiote surges. It does not cover Kale's skin this time. It erupts from his chest not as a suit, but as a weapon. A single massive spike of black chitin shoots out of Kale's sternum. It impales the laser cutter, shattering the lens. Varnak recoils. Containment breach. Sedate the subject. But the symbiote is done hiding. It flows out of Kale's pores, enveloping him instantly. The straps holding him to the table groan and snap like thread. The monster rises from the table. It is bigger now. It has metabolized the adrenaline of the capture. It looks at the Magos. It looks at the surgical tools. You wanted a closer look? The monster growls. Look closer. It grabs a bone saw from the overhead rack. It snaps the blade off and integrates the metal into its own biomass, fusing the steel with its alien flesh. It now has a serrated metal blade growing out of its forearm. Varnak activates his personal void shield. Abomination, kill it! The lab doors hiss open. Skittery vanguards flood in, their radiation carbines leveled. The symbiote roars. It is trapped in the heart of the enemy's fortress. There is no escape route. There is no ventilation shaft. There is only fight. We are going to need more snacks, Kale thinks. The symbiote smiles. Agreed. The creature charges into the wall of gunfire. The breakout has begun, and the halls of the Adeptus Mechanicus will soon be painted black. You stand in the sterility of the Mago's laboratory, watching chaos unfold. The air, once filtered and smelling of antiseptic ozone, is now thick with the copper tang of blood and the burning plastic stench of overloaded lacelles. The Scuttery Vanguard, soldiers whose very presence emits a lethal dose of radiation, pour into the chamber. Their carbines flash, painting the room in stroboscopic bursts of blue light. The target of their fury is a blur of black motion, the symbiote. Kale Venom is a whirlwind of violence. The entity has adapted to the threat of the Vanguard. It senses the radiation pouring off their armor and thickens its carapace, forming lead-dense plates over its vital organs. It is learning that on this world, even the air around an enemy can kill you. Too many, Kale's thought echoes in the hive mind of the Bond. We need room to move. Then we make room, the symbiote retorts. The creature grabs a heavy surgical table, ripping it from the floor bolts with a screech of tearing metal. It swings the table like a shield, catching a volley of radium rounds. The projectiles flatten against the adamantium surface. With a roar, the symbiote hurls the table into the ranks of the skittery. Bodies crush and circuitry sparks as the soldiers are bowled over like toy soldiers. Varnak, hovering safely behind a localized void shield, watches with cold calculation. His optical sensors are recording every microsecond of the engagement. He is not afraid. He is fascinated. Subject exhibits strength exceeding Astartes' baseline, he dictates into his Vox log. Regenerative capabilities confirm Tyranid-level biomass efficiency. But its tactics, they are surprisingly human, improvisational, emotional. He taps a rune. Seal the blast doors. Vent the atmosphere. If we cannot shoot it, we will suffocate it. The heavy blast doors slam shut, locking the combatants inside. Red warning lights spin. A klaxon wails. The air cycles out with a violent hiss. Kale gasps inside the suit. The symbiote does not need air to survive in the short term. It can recycle oxygen within its own bloodstream. But Kale does. The vacuum pulls at his lungs. The pressure drop threatens to boil his blood. They are killing the host. The symbiote panics. Its primary directive is the preservation of the Bond. Without Kale, it is just a puddle of slime dot. It abandons the fight. It looks for an exit. Technical detail, a standard Mechanicus. Laboratory is reinforced with plasteel bulkheads, designed to contain biological outbreaks. However, these walls are laced with conduit channels for power and data. The symbiote's thermal vision spots the heat signature of a main power trunk running behind the north wall. The creature ignores the skittery. It charges the wall. It does not punch it. It flows into the seams of the bulkhead. It forces its biomass into the microscopic gaps between the plates. It expands. Hydraulics whine. Steel groans. With a sound like a thunderclap, the bulkhead buckles outward, the plates popping off their rivets. The symbiote tears a hole in the wall and squeezes through, dragging Kale into the service corridor beyond. The air rushes back in. Kale inhales deeply, coughing. That was close. Not close enough, the alien replies. Run. They are loose in the research vaults. This is not the Sump. This is a labyrinth of classified technology. You watch them sprint down a hallway lined with stasis tubes. Inside the tubes are horrors collected from 1,000 worlds. A severed orc head kept alive on life support. A writhing mass of rud limbs. A jar containing a chaotic warp spirit bound in silver chains. The symbiote ignores them all. It is looking for a way down, back to the shadows. But the Mechanicus is relentless. From the far end of the corridor, a new threat emerges. It is not a soldier. It is a Castellan robot, a relic of the dark age of technology. It stands 12 feet tall, a dome-headed giant of red ceramite. It has no crew. It has no soul. It follows a simple, ancient program card inserted into its chest. Kill. Big metal man, the symbiote observes. Can we eat it? No, Kale thinks, recognizing the machine from the legends of the Forge. It's unrecognizable tech, indestructible. The Castellan raises its phosphor blasters. It fires. Burning white spheres of chemical fire streak down the hall. The symbiote leaps to the ceiling, crawling on all fours like a spider. The shots miss, melting slag craters into the floor. We cannot fight that, Kale insists. We need a distraction. The symbiote looks at the stasis tubes lining the walls. A wicked idea forms in the alien mind. Chaos is a ladder. It growls as it scuttles along the ceiling. Avoiding the robot's fire, the symbiote lashes out with its tendrils. It smashes the glass of every containment cell it passes. Scholarly ambiguity. What happens next is a matter of severe censure for Magos Varnak. By releasing the specimens, the symbiote triggers a code vermilion, a total containment failure. The orc head falls to the floor, rolling and shouting profanities. The rud limbs scatter, aging the metal they touch into rust instantly. The warp spirit screams, manifesting as a cloud of teeth and eyes. The Castellan robot pauses. Its logic wafer is confused by the sudden multiplicity of targets. Target priority error. It turns its guns on the warp spirit, ignoring the black shadow fleeing down the hall. Smart, Kale admits. We are brilliant, the symbiote preens. They turn a corner and slam into a heavy door marked with the symbol of the Iron Hands, a white gauntlet. What is this? Kale asks. The symbiote tastes the metal. It smells strong. They rip the door open. Inside is an armory. But not for skittery. This is a transshipment hub for the Astartes. On the racks hang bolters the size of Kale's torso. There are chainswords, power axes, and crates of grenades. And in the center of the room, on a repair stand, is a suit of power armor. It is black, trimmed with silver. The armor of the Iron Hands chapter. The symbiote stares at it. It senses the potential. The armor is a carapace, yes, but it is dead. It needs a pilot. We need a shell, the symbiote whispers. Something harder than skin. But before they can investigate, the wall behind them explodes. The Castellan robot has finished with the warp spirit. It has punched through the wall, tracking them. Its phosphor blasters glow hot. There's no time to hide. There's no time to run. Kale looks at the heavy bolter on the rack. He is a menial. He has never held a weapon of war. But the symbiote understands violence in all its forms. Grab it, the alien commands. Kale grabs the bolter. It is too heavy for a human to lift. But with the black tendrils reinforcing his arms, he hefts it like a pistol. Aim for the eyes. The Castellan charges. Kale pulls the trigger. The recoil would shatter a normal man's shoulder. The symbiote absorbs the kick. The bolter roars a deep, thudding bark that echoes like the judgment of the Emperor. Mass reactive shells hammer into the robot's dome. Bam dash, bam dash, bam dot. The rounds explode against the ceramite. The robot staggers, blinded by the smoke, but it does not fall. It raises a power fist, crackling with energy, and swings. The impact catches Kale in the chest. Even the symbiote cannot fully negate the force of a Castellan power fist. Kale is launched backward. He hits the armor rack, crushing the display. The bolter flies from his hand. He hits the floor, gasping, ribs cracked, the black suit flickering as Kale's consciousness wavers. The robot looms over them, raising its fist for the killing blow. "Get up!" The symbiote screams. "Get up!" But Kale is broken. The human host has reached his limit. Then, a sound cuts through the noise of battle. A teleport homer activates in the corner of the room. A column of blue light descends. From the light steps a giant. He is clad in black armor. His left hand is gleaming silver bionic. He holds a stormbolter in one hand and a power axe in the other. An iron hand space marine has arrived to secure his war gear. He looks at the robot. He looks at the broken black creature on the floor. Xeno's threat detected. The Astartes booms. His voice a grinder of rocks. He does not know that he is not the hunter today. He is the upgrade. You stand in the shadow of the transhuman. The arrival of the Adeptus Astartes changes the atmospheric pressure of the room, not just physically, but spiritually. The air, previously choked with the chaotic desperation of the symbiote struggle, is now dominated by the smell of sacred unguents, heavy promethium, and the ozone crackle of a teleportation flare. The iron hand does not move with the fluid, organic grace of the symbiote, nor the twitchy, insectoid speed of the Skidari. He moves like a tank finding its gear. Every step is a tectonic event. The magnetic clamps of his boots locking onto the deck, plating with a heavy, rhythmic clank dash clank dash clank dot. This is Brother Sergeant Talos of Clan Rakan. He is a tower of ceramite and hatred, a warrior who has surgically removed his own capacity for pity because he deemed it a tactical inefficiency. The Castellan robot, its logic wafer corrupted by the chaos of the battle, perceives the new arrival as a threat. It swivels its scorched dome, the phosphor blasters glowing white-hot. It fires. You watch Talos. He does not dodge. To dodge is to admit that the enemy's fire is worthy of respect. Instead, he raises his storm shield, a slab of plasteel generating a localized energy field. Technical detail: the iron hands favor the Mk3 iron pattern power armor, or heavily modified variants thereof. Talus's left arm, the bionic replacement characteristic of his chapter, is integrated directly into the shield's generator. When the phosphor rounds impact, they do not ricochet. They are absorbed by the conversion field, the thermal energy shunted into heat sinks located in the sergeant's backpack. The vents on his armor hiss, venting steam like an angry dragon. He is walking through a firestorm, and he is bored. Target: abominable intelligence. Talos broadcasts, his voice a grinder of gravel. Sanction: deactivation. He lunges. The speed of an Astartes is always shocking to witness. One moment he is a statue. The next he is a blur. He swings his power axe. The molecular field surrounding the blade disrupts the atomic bonds of the Castellan's armor. The axe shears through the robot's waist, severing the power core. The giant machine topples, its lights dying with a mournful electronic groan. Talos does not celebrate. He steps over the wreckage, his helm turning toward the corner of the room where Kale lies broken. You drift closer to the fallen host. Kale is finished. The blow from the robot has collapsed his ribcage. His lungs are punctured. He is drowning in his own blood. The symbiote, sensing the catastrophic failure of the biological vessel, is in a panic state. It ripples beneath Kale's skin, knitting bone and sealing arteries, but the damage is too extensive. The host is leaking life faster than the alien can pour it back in. Get up. The symbiote whispers, its voice weak, vibrating in Kale's fading consciousness. We need to move. Kale coughs, a wet, rattling sound. He looks up at the space marine looming over him. Through the red lenses of Talus's helmet, Kale sees no mercy. He sees only judgment. Xeno's corruption, Talos states. He raises his Stormbolter. Purge. But he does not fire immediately. Hard lore. The Iron Hands bear a deep psychological scar from the death of their primarch, Ferrus Manus. At the Isfin V drop site massacre in M31, they believe their father died because his flesh was weak, because he allowed emotion to cloud his logic. Consequently, they despise weakness in all forms. But they are also hoarders of technology. Talos scans the black substance rippling on Kale's skin. His Auspex reads the impossible regeneration rate. He sees the biological efficiency. He does not see a person. He sees a failed experiment with interesting variables. Hold! A new voice commands over the Vox grid. The ceiling of the armory shakes. Dust falls from the rafters. Outside, in the corridors of the Forge complex, the heavy thud of drop pods slamming into the facility echoes like thunder. The Iron Hands have not just sent a scout. They have deployed a strike force. You watch as the blast doors at the far end of the armory are blown inward. Not by a laser, but by a melted charge. 3 more Astartes enter. They are Terminators, clad in tactical dreadnought armor. They are walking tanks, their footsteps shaking the very foundations of the laboratory. Leading them is an Iron Father, a chaplain and tech marine combined. The Magos reports a biological anomaly capable of interfacing with machine spirits, the Iron Father intones. He points his servo arm at the dying Kale. Secure the genetic material. Burn the husk. Talos lowers his bolter. Compliance. He reaches down. His hand is not flesh. It is a bionic claw of silver adamantium. He grabs Kale by the throat and lifts him one-handed, feet dangling off the floor. Kale gurgles. He looks at the giant. He feels the cold metal of the Space Marine's hand, and the symbiote feels it too. It tastes the metal. But more importantly, through the sensory input of Kale's skin touching the Marine's gauntlet, the symbiote senses what lies beneath the armor. It senses the black. CARAPACE. Technical detail. The black carapace is the final implant of a Space Marine. It is a subdermal membrane of black plastic that covers the Astartes torso. It is fitted with neural sensors and transfusion ports that allow the Marine to interface directly with his power armor. It turns the suit into a second skin. To the symbiote, this is not just armor. It is a buffet. It is a biological interface system waiting to be hijacked. It senses the 2 hearts beating in the giant's chest. It senses the lineman's ear, the multi-lung, the olytic kidney. This is not a weak man made of soft meat. This is a god made of engineered perfection. Better. The symbiote whispers. Stronger. Kale's vision is fading. The darkness is closing in. He looks at the black ooze leaking from his own pores. Take him, Kale wheezes. It is his final act of defiance. He knows he is dying. He knows he was just a vessel. But in his final moment, he chooses the weapon that will kill his oppressors. The symbiote does not hesitate. It has no loyalty to the dead. You watch the transfer. It happens in the space of a heartbeat. The black fluid erupts from Kale's eyes, his mouth, his ears. It does not drip to the floor. It shoots upward like a striking cobra, aiming for the seals of Talos's helmet. Talos reacts instantly. He squeezes his claw, crushing Kale's neck. The host is dead before he hits the ground. But the alien is airborne. Contagion. Talos roars. He activates his armor's electrical discharge field. Blue arcs of lightning crackle over his ceramite plates, designed to burn off parasites. But the symbiote is an insulator. It withstands the voltage. It splashes against the faceplate of the helmet. It covers the red lenses, blinding the giant. Talos stumbles back, dropping the corpse of Kale. He claws at his face, trying to rip the substance away. But the symbiote is fluid. It flows into the grill of the Voxcaster. It squeezes into the hermetic seals of the neck joint. Let us in. The alien screams, not in sound, but in a psychic pressure that pushes against Talos's mental conditioning. The Iron Father raises his combi bolter. Brother Talos is compromised. Terminate. The Terminators raise their storm bolters. Talos is thrashing, his systems flashing red. Armor breach detected. Biological contaminant entering suit. The symbiote finds the neck seal. It pushes through the rubberized gasket. It touches the skin of the Astartes. If the bond with Kale was a spark, this is a supernova. The symbiote touches the Astartes' physiology and screams in ecstasy. The testosterone, the growth hormones, the clotting factors, it is a chemical ocean of power. It wraps around the black carapace. It hacks the neural link between Talos and his armor. Talos freezes. His arms lock at his sides. The machine spirit of his armor is confused. It detects two pilots. One is the master. The other is the suit itself. Scholarly ambiguity. The machine spirit of power armor is a semi-sentient AI that learns from its wearer. Some tech priests theorize that a symbiote, being a biological entity that acts as a suit, might actually commune with the machine spirit rather than override it. Is the symbiote enslaving the armor, or is the armor welcoming a kindred spirit? A biological brother to the machine? The Terminators open fire. Mass reactive shells hammer into Talos. Explosions blossom across his chest and shoulders. The armor cracks, but the symbiote is already inside. It pushes out through the cracks, sealing them with black chitin. It forces Talos's body to move. Talos drops to one knee. He is fighting the intruder in his mind, a battle of wills between the psycho-indoctrination of the chapter and the primal dominance of the Clinter. Get out of my head, Xenos. Talos roars. We are not Xenos, the symbiote retorts, its voice merging with the deep, vox-amplified baritone of the Astartes. We are the upgrade. Talos rises. The black ooze spreads over the silver trim of his shoulder pads. It covers the white gauntlet symbol, turning it obsidian. The red lenses of the helmet flicker and turn a milky bioluminescent white. The iron symbiosis has begun. You are witnessing the birth of a heresy. In the shattered remains of the armory, amidst the smoke of bolter fire and the sparks of dying machinery, a new silhouette rises. Brother Sergeant Talos is no longer just a warrior of the Iron Hands. He is a silhouette of living obsidian. The symbiote has finished its integration. It has not merely covered the ceramite plates of his power armor. It has permeated them. The black fluid has seeped into the molecular lattice of the armor, filling the microfractures of battle damage, binding the plasteel to the underlying biology. The Terminators cease their fire for a microsecond, their tactical cogitators struggling to classify the entity before them. Is it Xenos? Is it traitor? Or is it something new? Talos looks at his own hands. One is flesh, now sheathed in the black, muscle-like suit of the alien. The other is his bionic claw, a masterpiece of cybernetics. You watch as the symbiote flows over the silver metal. It does not reject the machine. It embraces it. The black ooze wraps around the hydraulic pistons, lubricating them with biological oil. It tightens the tension cables. It reinforces the adamantite joints. Technical detail, the iron hands, replace their weak flesh with bionics to achieve perfection. But bionics lack sensory feedback. A metal hand cannot feel the texture of the gun it holds. It relies on pressure sensors. The symbiote bridges this gap. It grows nerve endings over the metal. For the first time in 50 years, Talos can feel the cold air on his mechanical fingertips. The latency between his brain and his bionic arm drops from 0.04 seconds to 0. He is perfectly synchronized. Efficiency, 200%, the dual voice intones. It is a terrifying harmony, the gravel of the Astartes, mixed with the liquid rasp of the clinter. The Iron Father recovers his wits. Purge the abomination. He roars, leveling his combi bolter. For the Gorgon, the Terminators unleash hell. A storm of mass reactive bolts fills the air. Talos moves out an Astartes in full plate as fast. An Astartes bonded with a symbiote is a blur. Talos does not run. He flows. He drops to all fours, the symbiote shifting the armor's weight distribution instantly. He scuttles across the floor like a wolf, dodging the explosive rounds that chew up the deck, plating where he stood a heartbeat ago. They are slow, the symbiote whispers in Talos's mind. Old tech, heavy, clunky. They are my brothers, Talos thinks, his mind a fortress of discipline under siege. I should not fight them. They are trying to delete us, the alien counters. Logic dictates self-preservation. Talos cannot argue with logic. He leaps. He crashes into the lead Terminator. The impact shakes the room. A standard Astartes would struggle to wrestle a Terminator. The tactical dreadnought armor is designed to stop anti-tank rounds. But Talos has the strength of a space marine, multiplied by the hydraulic pressure of the symbiote's biomass. He grabs the Terminator's helmet with his bionic claw, now reinforced with black chitin. He squeezes. The ceramite groans. The lenses crack. Sleep, the entity growls. Talos slams the Terminator into the wall. He does not kill him. The Astartes' physiology is too robust for a simple concussion to be lethal. But he disables the armor's motive unit. The Terminator goes limp, his suit locked down. The other two Terminators engage. One swings a chain fist, a power fist fitted with a buzzing adamantium. Saw blade. Talos catches the blade. You watch in disbelief. He catches the roaring chain fist with his bare hand, the biological one. The symbiote instantly hardens the skin on his palm into a density rivaling diamond. The teeth of the chainsword grind against the black flesh, throwing sparks. But they cannot cut deep. Your weapons are crude. The symbiote hisses. Talos rips the chain fist from the Terminator's arm, tearing the servos loose. He spins and kicks the giant backward. The Iron Father realizes the tactical situation has collapsed. He activates his Crozius Arcanum, a power maul that serves as his badge of office. The energy field crackles with lethal intensity. You have surrendered your soul to the alien. The chaplain bellows. You are weak. The word strikes Talos harder than any bolter round. Weak. It is the ultimate insult to an iron hand. Inside the helmet, Talos's mind rages. I am not weak. I am improved. Show him, the symbiote urges. Show him the synthesis. Talos charges the Iron Father. The chaplain swings the Crozius. Talos parries with his power axe, but simultaneously, the symbiote lashes out. 4 tendrils erupt from Talos's back, like the mechadendrites of a tech priest, but made of living shadow. They strike the Iron Father, wrapping around his limbs, pinning him to the floor. Talo stands over his superior officer. The black suit ripples, forming a mask over his helmet that mimics the skull visage of the chaplain, but twisted into a smooth, eyeless nightmare. The flesh is weak, Talos recites the creed, his voice cold. But the steel is brittle. I have found the third path. He does not kill the Iron Father. To kill a chaplain is to damn oneself irredeemably. Instead, he rips the Crozius from the priest's hand and crushes the power field generator. He renders the enemy combat ineffective. We must leave, the symbiote insists. More will come. Bigger guns. Talos looks at the carnage. He has defeated a veteran squad in seconds. He feels the power coursing through him, the endless stamina, the regeneration, the sensory clarity. He knows he is a heretic now. He knows there is no going back to the chapter. The Iron Hands purge deviation. They do not study a dot, He turns to the ventilation shaft the symbiote used earlier. It is too small for a space marine. Not a problem, the symbiote thinks. You watch a miracle of biomancy. The symbiote constricts the armor. It disengages the locking pins of the pauldrons. It shifts to Luce's bone structure, temporarily dislocating his shoulders and hips. It compresses the Astartes' massive frame. It hurts a dull grinding agony, but Talos does not scream. Pain is just data. He squeezes into the darkness of the shaft. Vanishing from the armory, scholarly ambiguity. The Inquisition files regarding the Black Iron incident are sealed under magenta-level clearance. Some magos theorize that the symbiote did not just bond with Talos, but with the machine spirit of his armor, creating a tripartite entity: man, Xenos, and machine. They whisper that the armor chose to aid the escape, venting its reactor heat to mask their thermal signature. Did the machine spirit recognize a superior operator? Or was it corrupted by the alien code? Talos moves through the infrastructure of Agripinaa. He is no longer hunting for a way out. He is hunting for a purpose. He is a weapon without a master. But Agripinaa is a world of secrets. And deep in the sub-levels, beneath the notice of the Mechanicus, something else is stirring. Something that has been waiting for the stars to align. TLO stops in a junction. The symbiote tastes the air. Pheromones, the alien whispers. Familiar. Talos checks his internal chronometer. Identify. Old enemies, the symbiote hisses, the black suit bristling with spikes. The devourers. The bugs. You drift down the corridor, following the scent. In the shadows of a disused coolant refinery, purple eyes are opening. Claws are sharpening. The symbiote has arrived on Agripinaa, but it is not the only infection. A Genestealer cult has been festering here for generations, preparing the way for the great DEVOURER. And now, they sense a rival predator in the dark. You are descending into the nightmare. Brother Sergeant Talos, now the host of the entity Venom, moves deeper into the bowels of Agripinaa. The pristine, sterile corridors of the Mechanicus research levels are far above you now. You are in the Sump bottom, the geological bedrock of the Hive City, where the waste of 10,000 years has solidified into a toxic crust. The air here is not just stale, it is wrong. It tastes of copper and spoiled meat. Talos halts. The symbiote tightens around his muscles, a reflexive flinch. They are here. The alien voice hisses in his mind. The shadow. Talos activates his auspex, but the screen is awash of static. The machine spirit of his scanner is wailing in distress. Something is jamming the signal, not with technology, but with psychic pressure. Hard lore. This is the shadow in the warp. It is the psychic bow wave of a Tyranid hive fleet. It drowns out astropathic communication, smothering the connection to the Astronomicon. It induces headaches, paranoia, and madness in non-psychers. But Talos' iron hands, his mind is fortified by hypno-indoctrination. And the symbiote? The symbiote is a void-born predator. It does not fear the shadow. It hates it. You drift forward, peering into the gloom. The walls of the tunnel are covered in strange graffiti. It is not the crude scrawl of GAN tags. It is a spiral pattern, painted in blood and industrial lubricant. The symbol of the four-armed emperor. Genestealer cult, Talos growls. His logic engine connects the dots. The work cycle truancy mentioned by the skittery earlier. The disappearances in the lower habs. It wasn't just inefficiency. It was recruitment. A cult has been breeding here, right under the nose of the Mechanicus. Suddenly, the shadows move. From the ventilation grates, from the cracks in the floor, they emerge. Neophytes, human hybrids. They wear the tattered robes of manufacturum workers, but their skin is tinged purple, their foreheads ridged with alien bone. They carry autoguns and mining lasers. The Star Children come. A neophyte screams, raising a heavy stubber. Offer your flesh. They open fire. Talos does not seek cover. The symbiote hardens his black armor to diamond density. The stubber rounds spark harmlessly off his chest. Parasites, the symbiote roars. We will cleanse them. Talos charges. He is a locomotive of black iron and alien fury. He smashes into the cultist line. He does not use his bolter. He uses his hands. He rips a neophyte in half with a wet tear. He crushes skulls with backhand blows. The cultist's weapons are mining tools, designed to cut rock, not ceramite reinforced by Clinter biology. But this is merely the first wave. From the darkness behind the neophytes, the true monsters emerge. Pure strain GENESTELERS. Technical detail. A pure strain Genestealer is the apex shock troop of the Tyranid vanguard. It has 4 arms, lightning reflexes, and claws capable of shearing through Terminator armor. Its carapace is as hard as plasteel. It moves faster than the human eye can track. 3 of them drop from the ceiling, hissing. They smell the symbiote. They recognize the scent not as prey, but as competitor. Talos braces himself. 3 targets. High threat. 4, the symbiote corrects him. Look up. A 4th Genestealer, larger than the rest, a broodlord, hangs from a cluster of cables above. Its eyes glow with psychic malevolence. The Genestealer's attack. The first one leaps at Talos. He catches it mid-air. It is a clash of titans. The Genestealer slashes at Talos's helmet. The diamond-hard claws meet the symbiote's fluid armor. Sparks fly. The alien claws cut deep, slicing through the black ooze and scratching the ceramite beneath. Talos grunts. They are strong. We are stronger. The symbiote shifts its mass. It flows over Talos's bionic arm, forming a massive spiked mace. Talos swings. The blow connects with the Genestealer's ribcage. The sound is like a thunderclap. The Genestealer is launched across the room, its chitin shattered. Its internal organs turn to paste, but the other 2 are on him. One latches onto his back, tearing at his power pack. The other goes for his legs, trying to hamstring him. Talos drops to one knee. The Genestealer on his back rips a coolant line free. Promethium sprays out. Warning, reactor integrity compromised, his armor chimes. Eat them. The symbiote screams. Talos reaches back. He does not use his hands. The symbiote erupts from his backplate in a dozen sharp tendrils. They spear the Genestealer like a pincushion. The alien shrieks as it is impaled, lifted off the Astartes, and thrown aside. Talos grabs the Genestealer at his legs. He stands up, lifting the creature effortlessly. He rips its arms off. Delicious, the symbiote purrs, absorbing the spilled ichor of the Tyranid into its own mass. Then, the broodlord drops. This creature is different. It is a psyker. It lands in front of Talos and unleashes a psychic scream. You watch as the air ripples. A wave of telepathic force slams into Talos. It is not a physical blow. It is a mental assault. It is the scream of a billion dying souls. Talos staggers. His vision blurs. His hypno-indoctrination fights to hold his mind together. Get out of my head. But the symbiote is affected too. The psychic frequency disrupts its bond. The black suit flickers, peeling back to reveal the silver arm beneath. The voice. It hurts. The symbiote wails. The broodlord lunges, its rending claws glowing with warp energy. It aims for Talos's exposed neck. Talos cannot move. He is paralyzed by the scream. But Agripinaa is a Forge world. And in a Forge world, the machine never sleeps. Scholarly ambiguity. Just as the broodlord is about to strike, a klaxon blares. Not an alarm. A shift change whistle. A massive steam vent on the wall next to them opens. releasing the pressure of the geothermal tap below. A jet of superheated steam blasts across the tunnel. It hits the Broodlord. The Tyranid is biological. It burns. It screeches, its concentration broken. The psychic scream ends. Talos gasps, air rushing back into his lungs. The symbiote stabilizes instantly. Now. Talos lunges through the steam. He ignores the heat. His armor and the symbiote protect him. He tackles the Broodlord. They crash to the floor, a tangle of black and purple limbs. Talos raises his bionic fist. The symbiote forms a blade over it. He drives it into the Broodlord's chest. The Broodlord thrashes, clawing at Talos's helmet. But Talos's iron hands, he is relentless. He twists the blade. Die, bug, the symbiote growls. The Broodlord shudders and goes still. Talos stands up, covered in alien gore. The cultists, seeing their god fall, break and run. They flee back into the darkness, but the victory is hollow. Talos looks at the dead Broodlord. He sees the psychic beacon it was guarding. It is a crude device made of bone and scrap metal, pulsing with a low, throbbing rhythm. A synaptic relay, Talos realizes. They are calling the fleet. They are already here, the symbiote whispers. You follow Talos's gaze upward. Through a crack in the ceiling, through the miles of Hive City above, you see the sky. It is no longer black. It is purple. Clouds of spores are raining down. Bioships, massive beyond comprehension, are entering low orbit. Capillary towers are shooting up from the ground in the distance. Hive, Fleet Leviathan has arrived. The cult uprising was just the dinner bell. Now the feast begins. Talos stands alone in the dark. He is a traitor to his chapter. He is a host to a Xenos parasite. And he is the only thing standing in the way of the consumption of Agripinaa. We need a weapon, Talos says, checking his bolter. Empty. We are the weapon, the symbiote corrects him. But we need to get to the surface. We need to kill the big one. The Norn Queen? Talos asks. No, the symbiote says, a dark hunger in its voice. The Swarm Lord. You are ascending. The journey from the Sump bottom to the surface of Agripinaa is a vertical odyssey of 10 kilometers, a climb through the geological strata of a dying industrial civilization. Brother Sergeant Talos, encased in his corrupted black iron, moves through the ventilation shafts with the relentless drive of a piston. The air grows hotter as you rise, not from the machinery, but from the friction of war. The atmosphere is choking on spores. The microscopic vanguard of the Great Devourer has already saturated the hives, filtration systems. Talos feels the change in his blood. Or rather, the symbiote's blood. The alien entity is vibrating against his nervous system. It is a low, constant frequency of aggression that overrides the Space Marine's tactical cogitators. It is not the red, hot rage of Khorne, nor the cold, calculating hate of the Iron Hands. It is something older. It is a biological imperative written into the very DNA of the Clinter species. They are here, the symbiote hisses, its voice dripping with revulsion. The Locusts. The Takers. Tyranids, Talos corrects, checking the charge on his power axe. No, the alien snaps. The end. They do not just kill. They erase. They take the host and turn it into slush. They are the anti-life. You watch as Talos kicks open a maintenance grate and steps out onto a gantry overlooking Assemblage Hall 4 Beta. The site stops him dead. The hall, a cavernous space large enough to house a Titan, is no longer a factory. It is a slaughterhouse. The floor is a carpet of moving chitin. Thousands of Hormagaunts' dog-sized bioforms designed for mass assault are swarming over the skittery defenders. The red-robed soldiers of the machine god are firing their radium carbines in disciplined volleys, but for every Gaunt they kill, 3 more scramble over the corpse. Hard lore. Imperial records identify this invasion force as Hive Fleet Leviathan. Emerging from the galactic south in M41, Leviathan is the largest and most diffuse of the Tyranid incursions. Its strategy is simple: overwhelming biomass application. It does not employ the subtle infiltration of other fleets. It simply drowns the prey in bodies. Agripinaa, with its high population density and biological feedstock, is a prime target. The hive mind has calculated the caloric value of the planet, and it has found it sufficient. Talos looks down at the sea of claws. We cannot fight this. The numbers are infinite. We do not fight the swarm. The symbiote guides his eyes to a large, pulsating organism in the center of the hall. We kill the synapse. It is a Tyranid warrior, a towering shock trooper directing the lesser beasts. We hate them, the symbiote whispers, and for a moment, Talos sees a memory that is not his own. He sees a sky burning with bioacid. He sees a world not of the Imperium, but of a different galaxy being stripped to the bedrock. He feels the symbiote's ancestral trauma. The Clinters seek symbiosis, a partnership where both host and suit survive and thrive. The Tyranids seek only consumption. To the symbiote, the Tyranids are the ultimate perversion of life. They are the shadow that eats the sun. Talos jumps. He falls 50 meters, crashing into the middle of the horde. The impact liquefies a dozen hormagaunts. The symbiote hardens Talos's armor into a wrecking ball upon landing. The swarm turns. 1,000 eyeless heads snap toward the black and silver intruder. Let them come. The symbiote roars through Talos's Vox grill. The battle is a descent into madness. Talos spins his power axe, hewing through chitin and bone. But the axe is just one weapon. The symbiote becomes an arsenal. You watch as a hormagaunt leaps at Talos's back. Before it can strike, a tendril of black slime shoots from the heavy bolter mount on his backpack. It spears the gaunt, lifting it into the air. The symbiote does not just kill it. It absorbs it. The tendril dissolves the Tyranid's biomass, sucking the nutrients dry in seconds, dropping a husk of empty armor to the floor. Fuel, the symbiote grunts. More fuel. Talos wades forward. He is an island in a river of teeth. The symbiote coats his legs, turning them into spiked pillars that ground him against the press of bodies. He punches a termagant, his fist going straight through its chest. Technical detail: the Tyranid weaponry is symbiotic. A fleshbrewer gun is a living organism that fires beetles. When a beetle hits Talos, it tries to burrow into his armor. But the symbiote is faster. It detects the foreign biological agent and attacks it on a microscopic level. You can see the black ooze bubbling over the impact sites, digesting the fleshbrewer beetles before they can pierce the ceramite. It is biology fighting biology. The ultimate immune system against the ultimate pathogen. Talos reaches the Tyranid warrior. The beast stands 9 feet tall, wielding dual bones words and a death spitter. It hisses, recognizing a threat to the synapse network. The warrior swings its swords. The blades are psychic conduits, crackling with the energy of the hive mind. Talos blocks with his bionic arm. The symbiote reinforces the metal, but the psychic energy burns. The black ooze hisses and retreats slightly. It burns. The alien whines in pain. Focus. Talos commands his rider. Use the pain. Talos steps into the guard. He abandons defense. He drives his shoulder into the warrior's midsection. The symbiote forms a battering ram of spikes on the pauldron. They punch through the warrior's ribbed armor. The Tyranid screeches. It tries to bite Talos's head off. You want a taste? The symbiote snarls. The black fluid explodes from Talos's helmet. It does not form a shield. It forms a maw. A massive, tooth-filled mouth materializes over Talos's FSC-EPLA-TA. Bites the Tyranid. Back. The symbiote's jaws clamp onto the warrior's neck. It is a horrific reversal of the natural order. The consumer becomes the consumed. The symbiote tears the warrior's throat out. Acidic blood sprays across Talos's armor, sizzling on the black carapace. Scholarly ambiguity. Magos biologists often debate whether Tyranid acid can dissolve anything. It is known to melt plasteel and ceramite. Yet, the symbiote seems resistant. Is it a pH adaptation? Does the clinter biology secrete a neutralizing base? Or is the symbiote simply regenerating faster than the acid can destroy it? The answer is lost in the violence, but the result is clear. Talos stands, smoking but whole. With the synapse creature dead, the link is severed. The hormigons around them falter. They lose their coordination. They revert to feral instincts. They stop attacking as a unified wave and start fighting each other, confused by the sudden silence in their heads. Talos stands over the corpse of the warrior. The symbiote is retracting the maw, cleaning the alien blood from its form. Filth, the symbiote spits. They taste like static. Talos looks up. Above the gantry, the ceiling of the manufactorum is open to the sky. He sees the capillary towers rising in the distance, pumping the atmosphere into the waiting hive ships. The planet is being digested. We cannot kill them all, Talos says, his voice heavy with the logic of the Iron Hands. The biomass exchange is inefficient. For every one we eat, 1 million more land. We don't need to kill the fingers, the symbiote says, pulsing with a dark intelligence. We need to kill the brain. The signal. It points a black claw toward the highest spire of the Forge world, the Omniscraper. There, the symbiote senses. A light. A beacon. Calling them. The astropathic choir, Talos realizes. The Tyranids are drawn to the psychic light. We snuff the light, the symbiote decides. We go dark. Then the bugs leave. It is a plan born of desperation. To silence the astropaths is to blind the sector. It is treason. But Agripinaa is already dead. The only question is whether the Imperium can deny the Tyranids the meal. Talos activates his jump pack, or rather, the symbiote forms rudimentary wings of membrane and bone from his back. Up, the alien commands. They launch into the air, leaving the slaughter of the manufactorum behind. They are ascending toward the peak of the world, toward the screaming void, and toward a destiny that will brand them as legends or heretics forever. You are soaring through a sky that has become a graveyard of ambition. The atmosphere of Agripinaa is a churning soup of ash, smoke, and biological spores, illuminated by the apocalyptic orange glow of the burning manufactoriums below. Brother Sergeant Talos does not fly with the grace of a sanguinary guard. He flies with the violent, chaotic thrust of a monster. The membranous wings erupting from his back are not beautiful. They are ragged, black sheets of shifting biomass that beat the air with the sound of tearing canvas. Higher! The symbiote screams in the dual vox. Above the smoke, you rise past the towering smokestacks of the forge, piercing the cloud layer. But the sky is not empty. The invasion has moved to the aerial phase. A flock of gargoyles' winged gaunt variants screeches toward you. They are hideous things, leathery and gaunt, wielding flesh burrs that spit acid beetles. There are hundreds of them, a murmuration of death blotting out the pale sun. Talos raises his stormbolter. Targeting solution, wide dispersion. Too slow, the symbiote snarls. The black ooze flows over the bolter. It does not jam the mechanism. It modifies it. The symbiote grows biological rifling barrels over the muzzle, extending them. It connects its own nervous system to the weapon's firing pin. Talos pulls the trigger, and the bolter does not just fire. It erupts. The symbiote stabilizes the recoil perfectly, allowing Talos to fire a stream of mass reactive shells with the precision of a laser. Technical detail. A standard Godwin pattern bolter has a rate of fire of roughly 300 rounds per minute. with the symbiote manipulating the gas venting system and physically cycling the bolt mechanism faster than the machine spirit intends. The weapon is now firing at 900 rounds per minute. The barrel glows cherry red, but the symbiote acts as a living heat sink, absorbing the thermal energy to fuel its own metabolism. It is burning the weapon out to buy survival. The gargoyles disintegrate. The explosive rounds tear through their fragile wings, sending them spiraling down into the fires below. But then, the alpha predator arrives. From the spore clouds, a harpy dives. It is a massive bioship, wingspan stretching 20 meters, its underside fused with twin-linked stranglethorn cannons. It shrieks a sonic weapon in itself and unloads a barrage of seed-pods. LOS banks hard. The wings on his back strain, the muscles tearing and knitting back together in milliseconds. A stranglethorn spore hits his shoulder pauldron. It explodes, releasing a tangle of razor-sharp vines that constrict instantly. It's trying to bind us. Talos rips the vines away with his bionic claw, shredding the alien plant matter. The harpy circles for another pass, its jaws opening to swallow him whole. We need to board it, Talos calculates. It is a suicidal strategy. It is perfect. Jump! Talos cuts his wings. He drops like a stone. The harpy dives to intercept, thinking its prey is wounded. At the last second, the symbiote fires tendrils from Talos's wrists. The black ropes lash out, snagging the harpy's neck. Talos swings underneath the beast. He lands on its back, his magnetic boots locking onto the chitinous hide. Ride the dragon! The symbiote roars with feral glee. Talos drives his power axe into the harpy's spine. The beast thrashes, rolling in the air, trying to shake the parasite. But Talos holds on. He steers the dying monster by hauling on the axe handle, forcing it into a steep climb toward the Omni-Scraper. You crash land. The harpy slams into the landing deck of the Omni-Scraper, sliding across the plasteel in a shower of gore and sparks. Talos leaps off the carcass before it tumbles over the edge. You are now at the summit of Agripinaa. The air is thin and freezing. Before you stands the astropathic choir sanctum, a Gothic cathedral of iron and glass, perched on the edge of the atmosphere. But you are not alone. The landing deck is held by the enemy. Not the mindless swarm this time. These are the elites. Tyranid reveners, serpentine horrors with thorax-mounted devourers slither over the statues of saints. And leading them is a lictor, a chameleon assassin that shimmers in and out of visibility. TALOS stands up. His armor is battered. His bolter is empty. He draws his combat knife. They are waiting, the symbiote whispers. They know we are coming. And then, the change takes him. The symbiote has been feeding Talos a cocktail of combat stims and alien hormones for hours. Now faced with overwhelming odds, it opens the floodgates. It triggers the Black Rage, not the genetic curse of Sanguinius, but a convergent biological phenomenon. It is a state of hyperaggression where the host's self-preservation instinct is deleted and replaced with pure, unadulterated violence. Talos's vision turns red. The logic of the iron hands, the cold, calculating detachment shatters. He does not feel like a machine anymore. He feels like a hurricane. Let them have it. Talos charges. He does not seek cover. He runs straight at the lictor. The lictor strikes from invisibility, its feeder tendrils lashing out to pierce Talos's skull. Talos catches the tentacles in his bare hand. He pulls the lictor out of stealth. I see you, Talos growls. He headbutts the alien. The black carapace over his helmet forms a spike at the moment of impact, driving into the lictor's brain case. The assassin collapses at the Ravener's attack. They encircle him, their devourers spitting brain leech vorms. Talos is a whirlwind. He spins, his power axe a blur of blue energy. He chops a Ravener in half. The symbiote lashes out from his back, forming scythes that decapitate another. Hard lore. The Iron Hands are known for their stoicism. But in M41, the Clanrockin supplement details a specific malfunction in their bionics called the Gorgon's Fury, where the machine spirit becomes so aggressive it burns out the user's nervous system. Talos is experiencing the biological equivalent. He is burning his own soul to fuel the slaughter. He is laughing a sound that should never come from an Iron Hand. More. Send more. He tears through the Raveners. He is covered in ichor. The black suit is pulsing, growing larger, spikier. It is feeding on the violence. He reaches the blast doors of the sanctum. They are sealed. Open, Talos commands. The doors do not open. Knock, the symbiote suggests. Talos punches the door. His bionic arm, reinforced by the symbiote, hits with the force of a demolisher cannon. The 3-foot-thick adamantite warps. He hits it again. And again. Boom, boom. The metal tears. Talos rips the doors off their hinges and throws them aside. You enter the sanctum. The room is vast, filled with the smoke of incense. In the center, suspended in antigrav harnesses, are 50 astropaths. They are blind, withered humans, their heads wired into the choir machinery. They are screaming silently, broadcasting the psychic beacon that draws the Tyranids, and guarding them is a magos. It is not Varnak. It is a Magos Dominus, a high-ranking lord of war. He stands on a dais, surrounded by servo-automata. Halt, the Magos booms. You interfere with the sacred calling. The calling is a dinner bell, Talos rasped, his voice distorted. Silence them. The Omnissiah demands their song, the Magos counters. He raises a Volkite blaster. Scholarly ambiguity. Why would the Mechanicus keep the beacon lit? Some records suggest they believe the Tyranids can be studied if lured into a kill box. Others suggest the astropaths are too deep in their trance to be disconnected without killing them, and the Mechanicus fears destroying valuable assets. Or perhaps, the shadow in the warp has already driven the Magos mad, making him believe the Tyranids are angels of the machine god. Talos does not debate theology. He charges, the Volkite beam hits him. It is a weapon from the Dark Age, a ray that ignites organic matter. The symbiote screams. The black flesh boils. Talos's armor glows white-hot. Pain. Push through it. Talos roars. He forces his body forward, step by agonizing step, while his skin blisters and regenerates in a loop of torture. He reaches the dais. He tackles the Magos. They tumble down the steps. Talos rips the Volkite blaster arm off the tech priest. The symbiote flows into the Magos' exposed circuitry, shorting it out with biological fluid. Talo stands over the defeated Magos. He looks at the astropaths. They are still chanting. Do it, the symbiote whispers. Save the world. Talos raises his bolter. It is empty. He looks at his axe. It is broken. He uses his hands. You watch as the Iron Hand moves from pod to pod. It is a grim, necessary work. He snaps the neck of the first astropath. The psychic screen cuts out. He moves to the next dot. It is a mercy. Better a quick death at the hands of a space marine than digestion by the hive mind. With every death, the psychic beacon dims. The light in the warp flickers and dies. As the last astropath falls, silence descends on the spire. The psychic roar that was drawing the hive fleet vanishes. Talos falls to his knees. The rage evaporates, leaving him hollow. The symbiote retracts, shivering. Quiet now, the alien whispers, but the silence is broken. From the shadows of the sanctum's entrance, a slow clap echoes. Talos turns. Standing in the doorway is not a Tyranid. It is not a tech-priest. It is an Inquisitor. He wears a wide-brimmed hat and a long leather coat. Behind him stand 5 Death Watch Space Marines, the alien hunters. Impressive, Inquisitor Kirkman says, his voice dry as dust. You solved the problem, but you created a new one. The Ordo Xenos has arrived, and they do not tolerate monsters, even useful ones. You stand in the eye of a different kind of storm now. The psychic howl of the hive mind has been silenced, replaced by the cold, judgmental silence of the Inquisition. The air in the astropathic sanctum is freezing, the wind whipping through the shattered blast doors. Carrying the ash of the burning world below, Brother Sergeant Talos remains on his knees, surrounded by the corpses of the psychers he murdered to save the sector. He does not rise. His armor is a ruin of cracked ceramite and alien gore. The black symbiote skin is retracting, shivering, retreating into the crevices of his wargear to lick its wounds. Inquisitor Krypton steps forward. The heel of his boot clicks loudly on the marble floor. He is a legend of the Ordo Xenos, a man who has condemned billions to death with a signature to starve the Tyranids. He looks at Talos not with disgust, but with the dispassionate curiosity of a vivisectionist. You have committed a great heresy, Sergeant, Krypton says, his voice dry as old parchment. But you have also achieved a great victory. The Hive fleet is recoiling. Without the beacon, they are blind. We did what was necessary. The dual voice of Talos and Venom rumbles. Krypton tilts his head. We, interesting. He gestures to the Deathwatch Marines behind him. Secure the specimen. Extremist-level containment protocols. Hard lore. The Deathwatch is the chamber militant of the Ordo Xenos. These are not standard Astartes. They are veterans drawn from different chapters, tithed to the Inquisition to hunt the alien. The squad facing Talos is a kill team composed of specialists, a blood angel with a heavy flamer, a space wolf with frost claws, a Raven Guard sniper, and a Black Shield Marine who has renounced his chapter. His armor scoured of all heraldry save the Inquisition's. The Black Shield steps forward. He wields a Xenophase blade, a weapon of Necron origin, sanctioned only for the Deathwatch. The blade flickers in and out of reality, glowing with a ghostly green light. They want to box us, the symbiote hisses, spiking Talos' adrenaline. Like the Spider-Man in the glass jar. I will not be caged, Talos growls, forcing his battered body to stand. I am a son of the Gorgon. You are a host, Krypton corrects him. You are a Xenos-human hybrid. By the decree of the Ordo Xenos, you are excommunicate traitorous. You are no longer human. You are biomass to be studied. The Inquisitor raises his rosette. Take him down. Try to keep the parasite intact. The kill team engages. It is a fight of impossible odds. Talos is exhausted, his ammunition spent, his armor compromised. The Deathwatch are fresh, equipped with the best wargear in the Imperium. The Raven Guard fires a stalker pattern bolt. It strikes Talos' shoulder, punching through the weakened pauldron. The symbiote screeches, trying to knit the flesh, but its reserves are low. The Blood Angel unleashes a torrent of promethium. Fire again. Hate fire. Talos rolls, the symbiote forming a desperate shield of hardened chitin to deflect the flames. He lunges at the space wolf. The wolf laughs, catching Talos' blow on his frost claws. The diamond hard ice of Fenris meets the black fluid of the Clinter. You fight like a beast, the wolf grunts. Good, Talos is driven back. He is parrying, dodging, retreating. He cannot win this. Technical detail. The Xenophase blade wielded by the Black Shield is a molecular realignment tool. When it strikes Talos' armor, it does not cut. It phases through the ceramite and the black carapace, cutting directly into the symbiote's biomass. It disrupts the Clinter's cellular cohesion. Every hit forces the symbiote to destabilize, turning from solid to liquid, losing its grip on the host. Kale, Talos. We are leaking, the alien voice whimpers. Talos falls against the altar of the astropaths. The Black Shield looms over him, the green blade humming. Yield, the Black Shield says. Talos looks at Krypton. If you take me, you take the weapon. You will use it. Of course, Krypton replies coldly. The Imperium uses every weapon, even the cursed ones. Talos realizes the truth. He is not being executed for heresy. He is being harvested. The Inquisition wants to breed the symbiote. They want to create a legion of Venom Marines. No, the symbiote snarls. We choose who we ride. Talos grabs a handful of astropath wires leave cables, sparking with high voltage. He jams them into his own chest plate. The electrical surge hits the symbiote. It is agony, but it is also energy. The alien feeds on the electricity, jump-starting its metabolism. Talos explodes from the altar in a burst of black tendrils. He knocks the Black Shield back. He smashes the Blood Angel into a pillar, but Krypton is unmoved. He draws a pistol, a master-crafted Inferno pistol. Disappointing. The Inquisitor sighs. He aims at Talos's head, but he never pulls the trigger. The reality of the situation shifts. The Auspex on the Deathwatch armor begins to scream. Not with the signature of Tyranids. Not with the signature of the SYMB, IOTE. It is the signature of decay, scholarly ambiguity. The timing of the subsequent event is a subject of much debate in the Conclave of Agripinaa. Did the slaughter of the astropaths tear a hole in the veil? Did the despair of the dying world act as a beacon? Or was the Death Guard fleet simply waiting in the shadow of the Eye of Terror for the Tyranids to weaken the defenses? Regardless of the cause, the result is the same. The sky tears open. A drop pod slams into the landing deck outside. It is not the clean blue of the Ultramarines or the black of the Deathwatch. It is a rusted, weeping green, covered in weeping sores and fungal blooms. It opens with a hiss of escaping virulent gas. From the pod steps a squad of plague marines. They are bloated, rotting giants, their armor fused with their necrotic flesh. Flies buzz around them in a thick cloud. Krypton spins around. Chaos. The Tyranids were a force of nature. This is a force of malice. Leading the plague marines is a sorcerer of Nurgle, his staff topped with a trio of shrunken heads. He looks at Talos. He looks at the black living armor. A new pox? The sorcerer gurgles, his voice wet with phlegm. Grandfather Nurgle is intrigued. The dynamic of the room shatters. The Deathwatch turns their weapons from Talos to the traitor Astartes. Purge the unclean. The Blood Angel roars. The three-way war has begun. Imperium versus Chaos versus the Anomaly. Talos stands in the middle of the crossfire. The symbiote looks at the rotting giants. They smell spoiled, the alien whispers. Like bad meat. Talos checks his vitals. He is critical, but he is free for the moment. We leave, Talos commands. Where? Talos looks at the edge of the landing deck. Below lies the cloud layer, and beneath that, the burning city. Down, Talos says. He turns and sprints for the edge. Krypton fires his Inferno pistol, but the shot goes wide as a plague marine engages him with a blight launcher. Talos leaps into the void. He falls away from the sanctum, away from the Inquisition, and straight into the waiting arms of the 14th Legion. The Death Guard has come to claim Agripinaa for the Plague God, and they have smelled the symbiote. They do not want to destroy it. They want to infect it. You are falling through the smog of a dying world. The wind screams against the blackened ceramite of Brother Sergeant Talos's armor, a high-pitched keen that competes with the roar of the fires burning below. The descent from the Omniscraper is a plunge into hell. Agripinaa is no longer just a Forge world under siege by Tyranids. It is a world succumbing to the entropy of the warp. The Death Guard has arrived, and with them comes the Grandfather's gift, a creeping, rusted decay that spreads faster than fire. Talos does not panic. He is Iron Hands. He calculates the terminal velocity. He scans for a landing zone. Wings! The symbiote shrieks in his mind. The black substance erupts from Talos's back, forming the membranous gliders once more. They catch the updraft of a burning promethium refinery. The descent slows from a lethal plummet to a controlled crash. You hit the deck of a suspended freight processional, kilometers above the ground, but far below the Inquisition's reach. The impact buckles the plasteel grating. Talos rolls, the symbiote absorbing the kinetic shock, and comes up ready to fight, but the enemy here is not shooting. It is festering. The freight deck is covered in a thick, carpet-like layer of moss and gray slime. The iron railings are rusted through, dripping orange sludge into the void. The air is thick with flies' fat, black, buzzing things that bite at the seals of Talos's armor. It smells sweet, the symbiote whispers, its voice trembling with a rare hesitation. Like rotting fruit. From the fog of spores, they emerge, the Death Guard, the 14th Legion. They do not march. They shamble with an inexorable, terrifying weight. Their armor is a bloated parody of the Astartes plate, cracked and weeping pus, fused with the necrotic flesh of the warriors within. They carry bolters that drip virulence, and plague knives rusted to a jagged edge. Leading them is the sorcerer you saw briefly above Malignus the Rot Weaver. He floats on a cloud of flies, his staff pulsing with a sickly green light. The anomaly descends, Malignus gurgles, his voice sounding like wet leather tearing. Grandfather Nurgle sensed a new life form. A life that changes. A life that adapts. He wishes to bless it. Talos raises his fists. I reject your gods, traitor. I am iron. Iron rusts, Malignus counters gently. Flesh rots. Only the gift is eternal. The sorcerer raises his staff. He does not fire a bolt of lightning. He unleashes a cloud of greenish-yellow mist. Technical detail. This is the destroyer hive. It is not a gas. It is a swarm of microscopic demon flies. They are small enough to pass through the filtration grills of power armor, small enough to enter the pores of the skin. They carry the destroyer plague, a warp disease that rots biological matter instantly and turns metal into corroded slag. Against a normal space marine, this is a death sentence. The seals fail, the lungs fill with fluid, and the warrior drowns in his own dissolution. The cloud washes over Talos. Get back. The symbiote roars. The alien entity reacts instinctively. It forms a hermetic seal over Talos's entire body, closing off every vent, every joint, every sensor slit. The symbiote becomes a perfect, seamless cocoon of black obsidian. The flies swarm the black skin. They bite, they burrow. You watch the microscopic war begin. The Nurgle flies release their toxins. The symbiote cells are attacked by a supernatural pathogen designed to unravel DNA. But the symbiote is not from this galaxy. It has no soul for the warp to latch onto. It is purely biological. And it is angry. They are trying to eat us. The symbiote snarls. We eat them. The black skin ripples. Tiny mouths, thousands of them. Microscopic pores opening and closing form on the surface of the armor. The symbiote consumes the destroyer flies. It breaks down their viral payloads. It isolates the warp energy and purges it, sweating it out as a harmless gray vapor. The sorcerer pauses. His one good eye widens in the depths of his hood. It resists. It consumes the blessing. I told you. Talos growls, stepping through the cloud, the black suit glistening with dead flies. We are the cure. Talos charges. The plague marines open fire. Their bolters launch rounds filled with corrosive acid. The shells hit Talos, sizzling on the black carapace. The acid burns, pitting the symbiote's flesh, but the regeneration is instantaneous. The symbiote fills the holes before the acid can reach the ceramite beneath. Talos smashes into the line. He punches a plague marine in the stomach. His fist sinks into the bloated armor, squelching through rotten meat. The marine does not scream. He laughs, feeling no pain, and tries to stab Talos with a rusted knife. Talos rips his fist free, tearing out a handful of black entrails. The symbiote recoils. Disgusting! Do not eat! Do not eat! The alien screams. It tastes like vomit. For the first time, the symbiote refuses to feed. The biomass of the Death Guard is too corrupted, too toxic, even for the Clinter. This is a problem. The symbiote needs fuel to regenerate, but it cannot harvest it from this enemy. It is burning reserves it cannot replace. Malignus sees this hesitation. Ah, he wheezes. It has standards. How quaint. Let us lower them. The sorcerer begins a ritual. He chants in the tongue of Davin, a guttural sound that makes Talus's teeth ache. The ground beneath them rumbles. The moss on the deck writhes. Hard lore. Nurgle is not just the god of rot. He's the god of despair. His power works by breaking the spirit. If the victim gives in to the hopelessness, the infection takes hold. Malignus is casting a curse of entropy. He is targeting the bond between Talos and the symbiote. He is whispering to the alien that the host is weak, that the metal is cold, that the struggle is pointless. Just give in. Just rest in the garden. The symbiote shudders. The black suit begins to drip, losing its cohesion. It feels heavy. Talos feels his limbs turning to lead. Talos, tired. The alien voice slurs. Maybe. Sleep? No. Talos shouts, activating his armor's stim injectors. Do not listen. It is a lie. Talos fights his own body. He staggers toward the sorcerer. A plague marine slams a power maul into his back. Talos falls. The symbiote does not cushion the blow as well as before. The armor cracks. So soft. The symbiote murmurs. Warm mud. Malignus floats closer. He reaches out a withered hand to touch the black skin. Yes, little beast. Accept the decay. Become a carrier. Imagine the plagues you could spread with that adaptability. The sorcerer's finger touches the symbiote. The corruption spreads instantly. A patch of gray mold blooms on the black obsidian. It spreads like wildfire, turning the vantablack into a sickly pale green. The symbiote screams not in anger, but in sorrow. It is dying. The magic is rewriting its biology. Talos watches the rot spread across his visor. He is losing. He has fought Tyranids, Necrons, and Inquisitors. But he cannot fight a god unless Talos looks at his bionic arm. The silver metal under the black skin. The iron hands believe the flesh is weak because it can feel pain, because it can get sick. The symbiote is flesh. It is getting sick. But Talos is iron. Venom, Talos grits out. Retreat. Can't. Stuck. Retreat into the arm. Talos commands. Hide in the machine. The symbiote listens. It pulls back from the surface. It abandons the outer layer of biomass that is rotting. It flows deep, diving into the mechanical components of Talos's bionics, into the dense, sterile adamantium of his cybernetics. The rot consumes the outer layer of the suit, turning it to dust. Malignus smiles, thinking he has killed the creature. But the symbiote is hiding in the metal. It is safe inside the inorganic shell where the biological plague cannot reach. Talos stands up. He looks smaller now. The black bulk is gone. He is just a battered space marine with a silver arm. Malignus frowns. Where did it go? Talos raises his bionic arm. The silver metal glows. Not with the green of Nurgle, but with the white-hot heat of an overloaded capacitor. It is in the iron, Talos says. And iron purges. Scholarly ambiguity. Did the symbiote interface with the bionic arm's power source? Did it trigger a thermal purge cycle? Or did Talos simply overheat his own limb to burn the infection out? The bionic arm erupts in flames. The symbiote surges back out, coated in Promethean fire from the internal fuel lines. It is screaming, but the fire is burning away the Nurgle rot. It is cauterizing the wound. Fire is good. The symbiote roars, confused but alive. Talos punches Malignus. The flaming, black-wrapped bionic fist hits the sorcerer in the face. The blow shatters the sorcerer's force field. It crushes his jaw. The fire spreads to the sorcerer's robes. Malignus shrieks. The spell is broken. Run! Talos orders. He doesn't wait to finish the fight. He sprints past the burning sorcerer, charging toward the edge of the freight deck. Where now? The symbiote asks, its voice shaky but clear. Everywhere is sick. The Magos Varnak, Talos says. He wanted to capture you. That means he has a containment field. We run to the cage? We run to the only place on this planet that is sterile, Talos replies. The stasis vaults. It is a gamble. The Mechanicus wants to dissect them, but the Death Guard wants to rot them. In the Grimdark, you choose your executioner. Talos leaps from the freight deck, aiming for a mag-left train speeding along a lower rail. He lands hard on the roof of the train. They are moving away from the rot. But the infection has left a mark. Talos looks at his black armor. There are patches that are gray, scarred. The symbiote is traumatized. I feel dirty, the alien whispers. We survive, Talos says. That is all that matters. But as the train hurls them into the dark, a silver flash appears in the sky. Not a drop pod. Not a bioship. A crescent moon ship. Trezin the Infinite has been watching the drama unfold. And he has decided that a symbiote that can survive Nurgle's rot is a collectible worth intervening for. You are hurtling through the arterial veins of Agripinaa. The mag-left train is a silver bullet firing through the smog, clocking 300 kilometers per hour on a magnetic cushion. Brother Sergeant Talos clings to the roof, his magnetic boots locked to the hull. The wind is a physical hammer, stripping the ash and the lingering stench of the Death Guard from his armor. But the real cleansing is happening inside. You watch a biological miracle, or perhaps a heresy unfold in real time. The symbiote is molting. The encounter with the sorcerer left the outer layer of the black suit gray and necrotic, infected with the spiritual leprosy of the warp. But the Clinter biology does not mourn damaged tissue. It discards it. The symbiote pushes the dead biomass outward. It cracks and flakes away like dried mud in the wind, peeling off in long, gray strips that tumble into the darkness behind the train. Beneath the dead skin, the new layer is not just fresh. It is different that it is no longer the matte, light-absorbing vantablack of before. It now has an iridescent sheen, like oil on water. It feels spicy, the symbiote murmurs, its voice clearer, stronger. We tasted the sickness. We learned the flavor. You adapted, Talos realizes. He looks at his hands. The new skin feels denser, colder. Technical detail. The symbiote has effectively vaccinated itself against the Immaterian's biological agents. By isolating the Nurgle pathogens within the dead tissue and analyzing their protein structures before purging them, the entity has synthesized a countervirus. Its white blood cells are now producing hyper-aggressive enzymes capable of breaking down warp-based necrotic bonds. In the Imperium, where the touch of Nurgle is a sentence of eternal decay, Talos has become a biological impossibility. He is immune. Never again, the symbiote vows. We are the cure. But the test of this immunity comes swiftly. From the smog behind the train, a buzzing sound rises above the roar of the wind. It is a deep, wet thrumming, like a generator choking on sludge. A plague drone descends. Hard lore. This is a demon engine of Nurgle, a massive, rotfly mount ridden by a plague bearer. But in the late stages of a planetary invasion, these beasts often hunt alone, seeking to spread their contagion to fleeing refugees. Its body is a bulbous sac of virulence. Its proboscis is a rusting iron needle the length of a spear. It flies not by aerodynamics, but by the buoyant gases of its own decomposition. The drone dives at the train, matching its speed. It opens its maw and sprays a stream of bile. Talos does not dodge. He cannot. The train is a narrow platform moving too fast. He raises his arm. Shield. The symbiote does not form a solid plate this time. It forms a reactive mesh, a honeycomb of black slime. The bile hits the shield. Imperial science dictates the acid should melt through. Nurgle's rot should infect the living shield. Instead, the bile hisses and neutralizes. The iridescent sheen on the symbiote's skin glows green for a microsecond, absorbing the chemical energy of the attack. The symbiote drinks the poison and converts it into stamina. Delicious. The alien roars. Talos is shocked. You ate it? We told you. We learned. The plague drone, confused by the failure of its primary weapon, swoops in close to impale Talos with its proboscis. Talos waits. He has iron hands. He is patient as the beast strikes. Talos steps aside. He grabs the rusted proboscis with his bionic hand. The momentum of the drone swings it around. Talos slams the demon engine onto the roof of the train. Sparks fly as the chitin grinds against the metal at high speed. The drone shrieks. Finish it. Talos drives his fist into the drone's eye. The symbiote flows down his arm, entering the demon's skull. But this time, it does not rot. It acts as a disinfectant. The black fluid burns the demon flesh like holy water. The drone dissolves into a puddle of foul-smelling slime that is instantly whipped away by the wind. Talo stands up, shaking the ichor from his hand. He is untouched. He is clean. He looks out at the passing city. The fires of the Tyranid invasion are burning low in the north. The green fog of the Death Guard is spreading in the south. Agripinaa is being carved up by monsters. We are alone, Talos says. The Imperium wants us dead. Chaos wants us corrupted. The Tyranids want us eaten. We have each other, the symbiote replies, a surprising note of loyalty in its voice. We are the apex. But as they speed toward the perceived safety of the stasis vaults, a shadow falls over the train. It is not a cloud. It is a silhouette so perfect, so geometric, that it offends the eye. Talos looks up, hovering silently above the train. Matching its velocity perfectly is a night scythe. It is a Necron aircraft, shaped like a crescent moon, glowing with emerald energy. But it is not attacking. It is observing. A beam of green light scans Talos. It is not a weapon. It is an appraisal. Scholarly ambiguity. The Necrons of the Nihilak dynasty are not conquerors in the traditional sense. They are preservationists. They do not see war. They see history occurring. And Trazyn the Infinite, the Archaeovist of Solumnus, has been watching Agripinaa since the first Tyranid spore landed. He has seen the meteor. He has seen the bond. And now he has seen the immunity. To Trazyn, Talos is no longer a soldier. He is a mint-condition collectible. A one-of-a-kind variant, the symbiote Astartes. Xeno's craft, Talos identifies. Evasive maneuvers. No, the symbiote whispers, looking at the ship with its white, jagged eyes. It's not shooting. It's taking pictures. A voice projects from the night scythe. It bypasses the wind, the noise, and the voxcaster. It speaks directly into the air around them, vibrating the very atoms of the atmosphere. Magnificent, the voice says. It is dry, metallic, and ancient. Truly magnificent. A biological entity that can consume Nurgle's rot without degradation? Do you have any idea how rare you are? Talos raises his fists. Identify yourself. I am Overlord Trazyn, the voice replies politely. And I have an empty plinth in my gallery that would fit you perfectly. Right between the Krork and the Enslaver. I am not a trophy. Talos roars. Everyone is a trophy, my dear boy, Trazyn chuckles. Some are just uncatalogued. The night scythe descends. The train is running out of track. Ahead, the rail line ends at the sealed blast doors of the stasis vaults, the very place Talos was running to. He realizes too late that he hasn't been running to safety. He has been running into a trap. Jump? The symbiote suggests nervously. No, Talos says, watching the green energy coil around the Necron ship. We fight. But you, watching from the archive, know the truth. You cannot fight the inevitable. You can only hope to make a good pose for the diorama. You are standing on the precipice of eternity. The mag-left train screams toward the end of the line. The sealed adamantium blast doors of the stasis vaults rushing to meet you at 300 kilometers per hour. Above, the night scythe of the Necron Overlord matches your speed effortlessly. A vulture of green light waiting for the carcass to drop. Brother Sergeant Talos does not flinch. He is calculating the impact. He is diverting all power to the symbiote's inertial dampeners. We are going to crash, the symbiote observes, vibrating with tension. I can cushion the blow, but the host. The host is brittle. Focus on the armor, Talos commands. Brace! But the crash never comes. A beam of emerald light shoots down from the Necron craft. It does not hit Talos. It hits the train's control mechanism. The maglev engine dies instantly. The anti-grav cushions reverse polarity. The train stops. It does not slow down. It does not skid. It stops dead in the space of a single meter. Technical detail. This is the mastery of inertialess drive technology. To a human or Tyranid, momentum is a law of physics. To the Necrons, it is a suggestion. The sudden deceleration exerts G-forces that should turn Talos into a paste inside his armor. But the green beam acts as a stasis anchor, locking his molecular structure in place relative to the train. He feels a momentary sensation of his stomach trying to exit through his mouth, and then stillness. Silence falls over the rails. The wind dies down. The roar of the burning city seems miles away. The night scythe opens. A platform descends. Trazyn the Infinite steps onto the roof of the train. He is a figure of regal terror. His body is a masterpiece of living metal, adorned in a cloak of hard light scales. He holds the empathic obliterator, a staff that can slay an army with a thought, but he holds it loosely, like a walking stick. He is not here to fight. He is here to inspect. Remarkable, Trazyn says, his ocular lenses zooming in on the iridescent black skin of the symbiote. The adaptation to the Nurgle pathogen has created a unique phenotypic variation. A resilient strain. I simply must have the original receipt. Talos draws his combat knife, the only weapon he has left. I am a servant of the Emperor. I will not be catalogued. And we are hungry, the symbiote adds, forming a row of spikes along Talos's shoulders. You look crunchy, Metal Man. Talos charges. He crosses the distance in a heartbeat. The symbiote fuels his muscles, pushing the Astartes frame beyond its limits. He aims a blow at Trazyn's head, a strike that could shatter a tank's hull. Trazyn does not block. He does not dodge. He simply shifts. One moment, Talos is striking him. The next, Trazyn is standing 3 meters to the left. It is not teleportation. It is a dimensional sidestep. Aggressive, Trazyn notes, tapping a glyph on his wrist. Standard Astartes combat doctrine, predictable, but the biological component, that is the variable. Talos spins and strikes again. The symbiote lashes out with tendrils, trying to snare the Necron. Trazyn lifts a hand. A pulse of gravity waves hits Talos, pinning him to the deck. It feels like a mountain has been placed on his shoulders. The deck plating groans and buckles. Heavy. So heavy. The symbiote whines, struggling to hold Talos upright. I have 5 companies of Horus Heresy-era ultramarines in my collection, Trezin says conversationally, walking around the pinned sergeant. I have a clone of the Primarch Fulgrim. I have a Krork in mint condition. Do you really think, little hybrid, that brute force impresses me? He leans in close, his metal face mask devoid of emotion, yet radiating arrogance. I am the Archaeovist of the Solemnus Galleries. I have conquered civilizations by waiting for them to die of old age. You are a footnote. Talos fights the gravity. He pushes up. His servos whine. His bones creak. The symbiote flows into his joints, acting as a hydraulic fluid. Adding its strength to his dot slowly, impossibly, Talos stands. Trezin tilts his head. Oh, the organism compensates for gravitational flux? Fascinating. We do not kneel. The symbiote roars. Talos breaks the gravity lock. He lunges, his fist glowing with the last of his energy. He connects. His fist strikes Trezin's chest. Clang. The blow leaves a dent in the necrodermis. Trezin looks at the dent. He touches it with a metallic finger. The living metal flows like liquid mercury, popping the dent back out instantly. He is flawless again. Rude. Trezin sighs. He raises a small cube in his hand. It is no larger than a grenade, glowing with a complex, shifting lattice of green light. Hard lore. This is a tesseract labyrinth. It is a pocket dimension folded into a physical object. It is the ultimate prison. Inside, time and space are meaningless. It can hold a starship, a demon prince, or a very angry space marine. It is inescapable because once you are inside, you are no longer in the universe. I could kill you, Trezin explains. But that would be a waste. You are the only one of your kind. A symbiote Astartes immune to warp decay? If I let you die here, the galaxy loses a unique data point. He tosses the cube. It floats in the air between them. Trap. The symbiote screams, "Run!" But there is nowhere to run. The cube activates. A vortex of green energy explodes outward. It does not blow things away. It sucks them in. The light wraps around Talos. It pulls at his atoms. Talos feels a sensation unlike pain. It is the sensation of being unmade. He sees his armor stretching, spaghettifying into streams of data. He sees the symbiote panicking, trying to anchor itself to reality, but failing. Talos. The alien voice cries out, scared and small. Stand fast, Venom, Talos whispers. We endure. The light swallows them. The train roof is empty. The wind howls over the spot where the sergeant stood. Trezin catches the cube as it falls. He holds it up to his oculars. Inside the green crystal, frozen in a moment of eternal defiance, is a tiny, perfect miniature of a black-armored warrior mid-strike. Excellent, Trezin purrs. The pose is quite dynamic. I'll put you next to the enslaver. The contrast in textures will be exquisite. Scholarly ambiguity. Did Trezin save them? In a way, yes. Moments after the capture, the stasis vaults behind the train are breached, not by the Mechanicus, but by the Tyranids. A Malak bursts from the ground, swallowing the train whole. If Talos had been there, he would be biomass. Now he is a prisoner, yes, but he is alive. And in the 41st millennium, existing is the only victory that matters. Trezin turns to his light guard, who have materialized silently behind him. Load the acquisition, he orders. We are leaving. This planet is becoming dreadfully messy. The lighting is all wrong for a display. The Night Scythe tractor beam lifts the Overlord and his prize. They ascend into the smoke-choked sky, leaving Agripinaa to its fate. The Forge World will fall. The Tyranids will eat the biologicals. The Death Guard will rot the mechanicals. The Inquisition will declare exterminatus and burn the remains. But the story of the Symbiote does not end in fire. It ends in ice. You follow the ship as it breaks orbit, entering the Dolmen Gate, slipping into the webway before the Imperial Navy blockade can lock onto it. You travel across the galaxy, far from the war, to a world of silence and dust. You are going to Solemnus. You have left the realm of war and entered the realm of history. The screaming engines of the night side have fallen silent. The burning skies of Agripinaa are a memory replaced by the cold, geometric perfection of the webway, and then the void. You stand now on the surface, or rather, the shell of solemn Astartes. This is not a planet in the way you understand it. It is a machine the size of a world, a Dyson construct of living metal and emerald light drifting in the silence of the eastern fringe. There's no atmosphere here, only the hum of high-yield stasis fields and the ticking of a clock that measures eons, not hours. The surface is a landscape of endless black pyramids, vast data spires, and silent causeways where canoptic wraiths drift like ghosts. Repairing the monuments of a dead empire, Brother Sergeant Talos and the Symbiote are here. But they are not walking. You follow Trazyn the Infinite as he strides through the grand vestibule of his personal galleries. He walks with the click-clack precision of a master clockmaker. Floating behind him, suspended in a gravity field generated by 2 light guard, is the Tesseract Labyrinth, the green cube containing the Agripinaa acquisition. A successful harvest, Trazyn remarks to his datasmith. A hunched cryptech whose only function is to record the Overlord's brilliance. Note the phenotypic divergence in the biomass. The black carapace has subsumed the Astartes plate. It is a perfect fusion of the mechanical and the organic. A Venom pattern Astartes, if you will. The cryptech chitters in binary. Classification, my lord. Bio-anomaly, Trazyn decides. Subsection, heretical aberrations. Place him in the prismatic gallery, next to the Thunder Warrior. You drift deeper into the planet. The corridors are miles high, lined with alcoves. In each alcove stands a moment of frozen time. You pass a regiment of Vostroyan firstborn, frozen mid-salute, their lasguns still glowing with heat. You pass an Orkwarboss mid-wog, his mouth open in an eternal roar, a drop of spit suspended in the air. You pass a Tyranid lictor caught in the act of uncloaking, its chameleon skin forever shifting between colors. That it is a museum of the galaxy's violence, sanitized and silenced for the enjoyment of one undying robot. They arrive at the prismatic gallery. It is a vast circular hall where the lighting is kept deliberately dim to preserve the pigments of the exhibits. Trazyn stops before an empty plinth. It is made of blackstone, a substance that dampens psychic energy. Here, Trazyn commands. The light guard lower the cube. Trazyn taps a sequence of glyphs on the surface. The tesseract expands. The green light flares, blindingly bright. For a microsecond, the roar of Agripinaa returns, the sound of the wind, the train, the scream of the symbiote. Trap! Talos lunges out of the light, his fist raised to strike. The black symbiote skin bristling with spikes. And then, the stasis field engages. Technical detail. The Necron stasis technology of Solemnus does not merely freeze the body. It freezes the local causality. The atoms of Talos's body are locked in a quantum state of zero entropy. He is not dead. He is not sleeping. He is existing in a single stretched-out nanosecond. The electrical impulse in his nerve endings commanding his fist to strike is trapped halfway down the axon. The roar in his throat is a sound wave that will never propagate. He freezes instantly. A statue of obsidian and silver, caught in a pose of ultimate aggression. Trazyn steps back, admiring the composition. Marvelous, the Overlord purrs. Look at the tension in the jaw. The way the black substance mimics the underlying musculature. It captures the sheer, Futility of the organic struggle. He adjusts the lighting. A spotlight hits Talos from above, highlighting the iridescence of the symbiote's new skin, the skin that ate Nurgle's rot and survived. Label, Trazyn dictates. The Black Iron Hybrid. Recovered M41, Agripinaa. A unique instance of Astartes symbiosis exhibiting warp resistance. The cryptech etches the label into the plinth with a Gauss laser, but what of the subjects? Scholarly ambiguity. Imperial xenobiologists believe stasis is a dreamless void. But those who have been released from Trazyn's galleries tell a different story. They speak of a long moment, a state where the mind, trapped in the freezing of the brain's chemistry, loops the final thought endlessly. Inside the statue, there is no silence. Trap. Run. Trap. Run. The symbiote's panic is a skipping record, screaming in the shared mind. Stand fast. Stand fast. Stand fast. Talos's discipline repeats, a mantra of iron against the fear. They are locked in an eternal argument, an eternal battle-ready pose. They do not know the war on Agripinaa is over. They do not know the planet was consumed, then burned. They only know this single second of defiance. Trazyn turns to leave. The lights in the gallery dim, leaving Talos illuminated in a soft, lonely glow. But as the Overlord reaches the door, he pauses. He looks back at the black statue. Rest well, little anomaly, Trazyn whispers. I suspect I shall need you again. The galaxy is getting darker, and a weapon that eats demons. Well, that is a break-in case of emergency asset. He taps his staff. A hard light barrier seals the alcove. Until then, Trazyn says, you are safe. The door closes. The click of the lock echoes in the vast hall. You are left alone with them. Brother Sergeant Talos, the symbiote Venom, the Sump dweller, the hunter, the heretic, the survivor. He stands there, a monument to the will to live. He is frozen, but he is not defeated. In the silence of Solemnus, he waits. Waiting for the day the stasis field fails. Waiting for the day the galaxy needs a monster to fight the monsters. But for now, there's only the quiet. Asterisk, the archive is closed. The heavy iron doors of the scriptorium swing shut, sealing away the horrors of Agripinaa, the roar of the bolters, and the hunger of the aliens. The data stacks hum down, their lights fading from angry red to a soft, pulsing amber. The story is told. The duty is done. You have walked through the fire and the rot. You have witnessed the strength of iron and the adaptability of flesh. But now the war is distant. It is a picture in a book, a statue in a hall, far removed from where you rest. Take a deep breath. Let the tension in your shoulders fade, just as the fires of the Forge world have faded into history. The galaxy is vast, and it is filled with terrors, but here, in this moment, you are safe. The walls around you are strong. The shadows are just shadows. Drift now. Let your mind float away from the strategy and the struggle. Like a ship drifting in the calm tides of the deep void, engines silent, lights dim. There is no enemy here. There is no quota to meet. There is only the quiet, steady rhythm of your own breathing. The Emperor sits upon the golden throne, his will holding back the darkness. He watches over the stars, and he watches over you. His light is a shield that does not falter. You have served your time in the waking world. Now you have earned your rest. Sleep, citizen. Let the lore fade into dreams. Let the Grimdark yield to the peace of oblivion. The machine spirit is watching. The Emperor protects.